Meet Eiran Vale, the only necromancer alive who has never raised a corpse and has never needed to throw a punch. Right now, he stands in the center of Veyl Institute's challenge hall with both hands empty while a steel blade points straight at his throat. The guy holding that blade looks extremely confident. That confidence is about to have a very short lifespan. See, 3 years ago, Eiran awakens a class the world has no record for, Necromancer. Unfortunately, the name creates expectations. Corpses should rise, skeletons should crawl out of graves, dead soldiers should answer commands. Eiran can do absolutely none of that. Every corpse he touches stays dead. Every grave remains quiet. Every standard necromancy test returns the same irritating result: incompatible target. So Veyl Institute registers him as a funerary support caster with no measurable combat value and places him near the bottom of its licensed awakened hierarchy. Eiran never argues. That would require caring. Instead, our necromancer spends 3 years quietly learning what his class actually means. And the answer is completely ridiculous. His magic does not reach backward, it reaches forward. The dead are useless to him because their souls have already completed the event his power needs. Living people are different. Every living person carries a death somewhere ahead of them. Maybe tomorrow, maybe 60 years from now, maybe in a quiet bed surrounded by family, maybe underneath a monster's foot. Eiran's class can reach into that future moment, grab the soul at the exact instant it separates from the body, and drag that terminal version backward into the present. Not the corpse, not a prediction, the soul itself. Or at least, something terrifyingly close to it. The challenge hall is packed today because Bram Morel has decided to teach the Institute's weakest registered caster a lesson. Bram is a third circle blade adept with enough victories to make arrogance look almost reasonable. Almost. He circles Eiran slowly. Students fill the stone balconies above them. Several instructors watch from behind reinforced glass. The hall itself is built for awakened duels, black iron flooring, mana drain channels along the walls, and a ceiling covered in silver bell-shaped wards designed to suppress lethal skills. Veyl takes safety seriously, which is adorable, considering what is about to happen. Bram lifts his sword. You stole an archive token. Eiran glances toward the bronze disc hanging from his own belt. The token came from a storage corridor yesterday morning. More accurately, it rolled out from underneath a locked door while nobody was around. Our guy picked it up because leaving unidentified restricted property on the floor seems stupid. Apparently that counts as theft when the person carrying it has the lowest evaluation score in the Institute. Bram points the blade closer. Hand it over. Eiran looks at him. Nothing else. That somehow annoys Bram even more. The Blade Adept's aura rises. Blue-white force crawls along the edge of his weapon, and the audience finally gets what it came for, a beating. There is only one problem. Eiran has never been beaten in a duel. He has never technically participated in one. Every challenge before today ends before the first attack lands. Nobody outside a tiny administrative office knows why. Bram steps forward. The mana channels beneath the floor flare. Eiran finally raises one hand. No dramatic chant, no black vortex, no graveyard mist. Just 2 fingers lifting toward the man standing across from him. The interface behind his eyes stirs. A cold line of text forms across his vision. Living target confirmed. Terminal record accessible. Temporal distance 11 years, 4 months, 17 days. Eiran pauses. 11 years. Interesting. He expected longer. Then another line appears. Cause of death remains sealed. That part is new. His eyes narrow slightly. Bram mistakes the reaction for fear. Huge mistake. The sword comes down. Eiran closes his fingers. Something screams without making a sound. The temperature inside the hall crashes. Bram's blade stops less than a handspan from Eiran's shoulder, not because Eiran blocks it, because Bram sees the person standing between them. The figure looks exactly like him. Older, thinner, dead. The future soul wears the black and silver uniform of a senior Veyl officer. One shoulder is completely shattered. Blood runs from both ears. A broken length of white stone pierces through the abdomen, and around the throat sits a dark ring shaped like the mark left by a tightening wire. The audience goes silent. Bram does not. He starts breathing like a drowning man, because everyone else only sees the body. Bram sees the memory. That is the cruel little feature nobody understands yet. When Eiran summons the future soul of a living target, the owner recognizes it. The connection becomes immediate. Current soul meets terminal soul, and for one brutal instant, every sensory fragment from the moment of death crosses the gap. Pain, sound, smell, temperature, last thoughts, last sight, everything. Bram's sword slips from his fingers, metal cracks against iron, his future soul turns toward him. The dead version opens its mouth, no sound emerges. Bram hears it anyway. His pupils shrink. No, the word barely leaves him. Then he stumbles backward. No, no, no. The crowd starts moving. Several students lean over the railing. An instructor reaches for the emergency ward controls. Too late. Bram sees white pillars collapsing around him. He sees silver rain falling through an underground chamber. He sees 3 other officers running toward a sealed door. He sees something behind that door, not clearly. Only enough, a shape too tall for the corridor, a hand covered in ceremonial black metal, and 7 narrow bells carved into a wall of white stone. Then Bram experiences the final moment. Something tightens around his neck. The world flips sideways. His own blood enters his lungs. The last thing his dying eyes see is the Veyl crest splitting down the middle. The connection ends. Bram hits the floor. No wound. No blood. Not a scratch. His body is completely fine. His mind is another matter. The Blade Adept crawls backward on both hands. He cannot stop staring at his future corpse. Keep it away. Eiran studies him quietly. Interesting choice of words. Most people say, make it disappear. Bram calls his own soul in it. Yeah, that tells the whole story. The future spirit remains motionless. Its edges flicker like burning paper. Eiran has learned that distance matters. The farther away the death, the less stable the summon becomes. A soul from tomorrow can almost look alive. A soul from decades ahead barely holds a face. 11 years should produce a stable manifestation. This one does not. That bothers him. The future Bram flickers again. For half a second, something becomes visible beneath the torn uniform. A symbol, black, circular, pressed directly into the spirit's chest. 7 tiny vertical cuts surround a hollow center. Eiran has never seen it before. Then the soul distorts. The silver wards above the arena ring all at once. 7 bells. Not 6, not 8, exactly 7. Our necromancer looks up. That gets his attention. The hall erupts. Instructors activate suppression barriers. Students rush away from the railing. Bram remains on the ground, pressing both palms against his ears despite the complete silence. Instructor Malin Rook steps through the barrier first. She is one of Veyl's senior combat examiners, and possibly the only person in the building who understands that attacking unknown magic immediately is an excellent way to die professionally. She does not attack. Smart woman. Her gaze moves from Eiran to the summoned figure, then back. What is that? Eiran lowers his hand. The future soul disappears. Bram screams. Not because anything hurts, because now he knows the thing can come back. The challenge hall becomes painfully quiet again. Eiran looks at the fallen sword, then at Bram. His soul. A few students laugh nervously. Nobody keeps laughing when Eiran continues. From later, Malin's expression changes. Only slightly. That is enough. The examiner understands the wording. Later when? Eiran glances at Bram. His death. Nobody laughs this time. A detection crystal mounted beside the arena suddenly cracks, then another. The devices are designed to identify active class signatures. Fire magic turns them red. Healing turns them gold. Spatial magic creates a violet spiral. Necromancy is supposed to produce black. Eiran's magic produces nothing. The crystal simply fractures from the inside. A quiet chime enters his mind. The class registry is trying to categorize the skill again. Unknown temporal vector. Unknown spiritual vector. Living soul paradox detected. Classification failed. Then comes a final message. Provisional designation assigned Necromancer. Future type. Eiran almost finds that funny. 3 years. Thousands of tests. Apparently all the system needed was public humiliation, just not his. Bram suddenly grabs Malin's coat, the white undercroft. The examiner freezes. Bram's fingers shake violently. Do not send anyone there. Several instructors exchange looks. That reaction is fast. Too fast. Eiran notices. Malin pulls her coat free. There is no place with that name. Bram stares at her. His face becomes even paler. There will be. Now the instructors stop pretending this is only a duel. 2 wardens lock the hall doors. Another disables the recording crystals. Students immediately start whispering, which is perfect. Nothing makes teenagers spread information faster than adults obviously trying to hide it. Eiran watches Malin. She is not looking at Bram anymore. She is looking at the bronze archive token hanging from Eiran's belt. There it is. A connection. Small, ugly, real. The same token Bram accused him of stealing. One side carries the normal Veyl crest. The reverse side is blank. At least, that is how it looked yesterday. Now a thin black mark has appeared across the bronze. Eiran turns it with one thumb. 7 vertical cuts. A hollow circle. The exact symbol branded onto Bram's future soul. That is definitely not a coincidence. Something brushes against Eiran's ankle. He looks down. A shadow the size of a cat crouches beside his boot. Nobody else reacts. Good. The thing has appeared 3 times before, always after an unstable summon. Eiran calls it Morrow because naming impossible phenomena saves time. Morrow is not a skeleton, not a ghost. Not even a proper soul. It looks like a human silhouette folded until most of the details disappear. Two pale points serve as eyes. Its hands are too small. Its face has no mouth. The system refuses to identify it. Right now, the little shadow is weaker than usual. One arm keeps dissolving into smoke. It reaches toward the bronze token. Then toward the ceiling. 7 bells hang above the arena. Morrow points at the 7th. Eiran follows the gesture. There is a scratch underneath the bell, small enough that nobody would care. A hollow circle. 7 cuts. There it is again. Malin notices where he is looking. Her composure finally slips, only for a heartbeat. That is plenty. She steps between Eiran and the bell. The duel is terminated. Nobody argues. Bram certainly does not. The Blade Adept is still whispering the same sentence. White stone. Silver rain. White stone. Silver rain. Malin signals the wardens. Veyl goes to administrative confinement. That produces the first real reaction from Eiran. He raises an eyebrow. Not fear, just mild disappointment. Apparently, showing someone his own death is against school policy. Reasonable, honestly. 2 wardens approach. Morrow presses closer to Eiran's boot. The small shade trembles. Its unfinished fingers curl around nothing. Eiran notices something else. Morrow is staring past the wardens. At Bram. No, at the space where Bram's future soul stood. A thin silver thread remains there. Normally, summoned souls vanish completely. This one leaves a tether. Eiran touches it. Cold floods his fingertips. For one instant, another image appears. Not Bram's death. A corridor, white stone, 7 bells engraved above a sealed door. A bronze slot sits beside it, exactly the size of the token on Eiran's belt. Then the vision disappears. That changes things. Until today, Eiran believes his ability only reveals deaths. Useful, cruel, simple. Now one of those deaths is pointing somewhere. Worse, the destination already exists in fragments across the Institute. His future magic just touched something in the present. That should not happen. Eiran releases the silver thread. It evaporates. Malin watches his hand. What did the soul show? Our necromancer looks at her. The examiner already knows too much, which means telling her less is suddenly much more valuable. Bram dies. Malin's jaw tightens. Technically true. Painfully unhelpful. Bram looks up from the floor. His eyes lock onto Eiran. Stop it. Eiran says nothing. Change it. That one lands differently. The entire hall seems to shrink around those 2 words. Change it. Until now, every person Eiran summons eventually avoids him. Some leave the city. Some abandon duels. One man quits drinking after seeing himself drown face down in a fountain. Nobody has ever asked Eiran to interfere with the death itself, because nobody knows whether he can. Eiran does not know either. And that uncertainty is far more interesting than fear. Malin gestures toward the wardens. They step closer. Eiran reaches down. He removes the bronze archive token from his belt. One warden extends a hand, expecting surrender. Eiran walks past him, straight toward the arena wall. A narrow service door sits beneath the 7th bell. Malin moves immediately. Veyl. He places the token against the lock. The bronze plate turns black. 7 tiny bells ring somewhere beneath the floor. Every instructor in the hall goes completely still. The wall opens. Cold air rises from a staircase that officially does not exist. White stone lines the steps. Far below, something silver glitters in the darkness. Bram begins screaming again. Morrow crawls onto Eiran's shadow and clings there like a second silhouette. Its missing arm briefly reforms, not fully, just enough to point downward. Eiran takes the first step. Malin reaches for his shoulder. He moves before she touches him. Not an attack, not even a dodge. He simply walks beyond her reach and descends into the hidden stairwell. The door starts closing behind him. Above, Bram keeps shouting about the place where he dies. Below, 7 distant bells answer. Eiran takes the archive token in one hand and keeps walking toward the future that apparently has been waiting underneath Veyl Institute the entire time. The staircase beneath Veyl Institute should not exist. That becomes obvious around the 40th step. The stone changes first. The upper corridor uses the same dark granite found across the academy, polished smooth by decades of maintenance. Down here, the walls turn completely white, not painted, not marble. Something else. The surface looks almost organic beneath the pale lamps, with thin silver veins running through it like frozen lightning. Eiran keeps descending. Behind him, the hidden door seals shut. No instructor follows. That is interesting. Malin Rook is powerful enough to break the door if she wants. The fact that she does not means the examiner either knows exactly where this staircase leads or is terrified to find out. Possibly both. Morrow crawls along the edge of Eiran's shadow. The little spirit looks different now. Its missing arm has returned. Barely. The limb is translucent from elbow to fingertips, but that is still a massive improvement over the useless smoke stump from upstairs. Apparently proximity to this place feeds it. Eiran files that away. See, Morrow first appears 2 years ago after Eiran accidentally summons the future soul of a condemned smuggler during a licensing examination. The smuggler sees himself dying beneath a collapsed harbor crane 16 years later and spends the next month refusing to go near water. Eiran gets blamed for psychological misconduct. Morrow gets ignored because nobody else can see it. Since then, the strange little shade appears whenever a future summon behaves incorrectly. Too unstable, too detailed, too close, too impossible. It never speaks. It points. Sometimes it scratches symbols into dust. Mostly, it watches. That makes it considerably more useful than half the instructors upstairs. Eiran reaches the bottom. A corridor stretches ahead. White stone, silver channels, 7 black doors. Each door carries a bell engraved directly into the surface. 1 bell on the first, 2 on the second, 3 on the third. The final door has 7. No windows. No signs, no academy crest. Nothing that explains why a hidden structure larger than the main archive is buried beneath a school full of teenagers. Perfectly normal institutional behavior. Morrow points toward the first door. Eiran ignores it. The shadow creature tilts its head. Our necromancer takes the bronze token from his pocket and studies it instead. 7 cuts now cover the reverse side. The marks were not there yesterday. He rubs one with his thumb. A pulse runs through the metal. The first door unlocks. Morrow turns slowly toward him. Those pale eyes somehow manage to look offended. Eiran steps through. Inside sits an archive. Not books, records. Thousands of narrow glass cylinders fill the walls from floor to ceiling. Each contains a strip of silver material rolled around a black spindle. Names are written beneath them. Students, faculty, guild officers, government officials. Some Eiran recognizes. Most he does not. He approaches the nearest cylinder. Lysa Morcant, alive, second-year barrier specialist. He saw her eating breakfast yesterday. The cylinder beside hers reads Bram Arel. That one is empty. Eiran stops. Interesting. He looks closer. A small brass plaque beneath Bram's container lists a date. 11 years, 4 months, 17 days from now. Exactly the temporal distance his skill displayed upstairs. That stops being interesting. Now it becomes a problem. Someone has recorded Bram's death before Eiran summons it. Morrow reaches up. Its new fingers touch the empty glass. The little shade jerks backward. A thin silver filament appears between the container and its palm. The same kind of thread Eiran saw hanging in the duel hall, only brighter. Morrow looks at him, then closes its hand. The thread does not vanish. That is new. Previously, Morrow can only point toward temporal residue. Now it can hold it. Not for long. The creature's translucent arm immediately begins dissolving. Eiran kneels. Keep it. Morrow's fingers tighten. 3 seconds. 4. 5. The silver line vibrates. A pulse travels through the archive. Several cylinders answer. Not Bram's. Others. 7 of them. Eiran turns. 7 names glow faintly across the chamber. Lysa Morcant. Malin Rook. Director Solvin Mar. 3 names Eiran does not recognize. And his own. That earns a pause. His cylinder stands near the far wall. Eiran walks toward it. No silver record sits inside. Instead, the glass is black from within. No date, no cause, no projected age. Just one sentence carved beneath the container. Terminal record unavailable. Our guy stares at it. Well, that is inconvenient. Morrow loses its grip. The filament snaps. Every glowing cylinder goes dark. The little shade collapses against the floor. Its arm disappears again. Eiran crouches beside it. Morrow looks smaller now. Almost flat. He offers 2 fingers. The shade grabs them. Cold spreads into his hand. A quiet message forms behind his eyes. Auxiliary temporal entity has completed first stabilization event. Eiran waits. Another line follows. Function acquired residue retention. Maximum duration, 5 seconds. Morrow's pale eyes brighten. Tiny upgrade. Huge implications. Until now, every future soul disappears the moment Eiran releases it. Every memory goes with it. If Morrow can hold the residue, then Eiran can examine what remains after the target stops seeing their death. 5 seconds is pathetic. 5 seconds is also 5 more than yesterday. Our necromancer lifts Morrow onto his shoulder. The shade weighs nothing. It sits there like a badly folded piece of darkness. Eiran turns toward the cylinders. He does not touch Lysa's, not yet. Using his ability on unsuspecting people simply because their names appear in a hidden death archive would be reckless. More importantly, it would alert whoever built this place. So he starts with the environment. There are 7 doors, 7 glowing records, 7 bells, and 7 cuts surrounding the hollow circle symbol. Patterns first, answers later. Eiran removes a narrow piece of chalk from the inside of his coat. Every necromancy student carries bone chalk for ritual diagrams. His has never worked for necromancy. Today, it finally gets a job. He marks the floor beneath Bram's empty cylinder, one line, then another beneath Malin's. He counts distances, measures angles, tracks the silver veins in the walls. Morrow watches. The veins do not run randomly. They connect the selected cylinders. All 7 converge toward the chamber's center. Eiran scrapes dust from the floor with his heel. A hidden seam appears. Circular. He presses the archive token against it. Nothing. Good. He expected that. The token opened the first door because the archive wanted him inside. That does not mean it intends to give him everything, so Eiran changes methods. He places his palm against Bram's empty cylinder. No summon, no spell, just contact. A faint remnant of fear remains in the glass. Bram's fear, fresh from upstairs. Eiran closes his eyes. The interface stirs. Terminal subject unavailable. Residual future signature detected. Synchronization possible. There it is. Our necromancer does not activate the full summon. Instead, he feeds the smallest possible amount of mana into the residue. A fragment appears. Only a hand. Bram's future hand. Pale, bloodied, fingers clenched around something. The projection lasts less than a second. Eiran cancels it immediately. Morrow grabs the leftover thread. 5 seconds. Eiran watches the object in the spectral hand. A key. No. A broken piece of metal shaped like a key. 3 teeth. A circular opening. 7 markings. Then the residue disappears. Morrow's arm vanishes with it. The shade sways. Eiran catches it before it falls. That confirms one thing. He does not always need to summon an entire soul. A terminal fragment is enough. That means lower mana cost, less psychological damage, more control. Very useful. Also extremely dangerous if anyone learns he can extract pieces of a future death without the victim even being present. Eiran wipes the chalk marks from the floor, not because he is done, because someone is coming. Footsteps approach from the staircase. Slow, deliberate. Only one person. The first door opens. Malin Rook enters alone. She closes it behind her. Her eyes immediately sweep the room. Bram's cylinder. The floor. Eiran's hands. Morrow, apparently invisible to her. Nothing in her expression suggests surprise at the archive itself. That answers one question. You were told to remain upstairs. Eiran looks at the 7-bell door beyond her shoulder. You did not follow. Malin gives him a flat look. Most students obey senior instructors. Most students cannot open your secret basement. Fair. Her gaze lands on the archive token. Give me that. Eiran slips it into his pocket. No. The answer is so immediate that Malin almost looks impressed. Almost. Mana gathers around her fingers. Not an attack yet. A warning. Eiran does not summon anything. He watches. Malin notices. You can show me my death. Yes. And you are choosing not to. Yes. Why? Because now you are thinking about it. Silence. That is the first weapon Eiran actually understands. Not fear. Anticipation. Once people know what he can do, they begin building their own nightmare before he ever casts the skill. Malin slowly lowers her hand. Smart again. Bram is being treated. He is not injured. You know what I mean. Eiran does. Psychological collapse usually lasts minutes, sometimes hours. One target refuses to sleep for 3 days. Bram's reaction is worse because his death involves something he recognizes. The White Undercroft. This place. Which means Bram either visits it in the future or learns enough about it to fear it before dying here. Malin walks toward the empty cylinder. Did you touch anything? Yes. Her head turns sharply. Which record? Bram's. Only technically true. The best kind. Malin exhales through her nose. What did you see? A hand. That catches her. Only a hand? Eiran watches the microsecond of relief before she hides it. There is something she desperately does not want him to see. Good to know. What was it holding? She asks. Eiran says nothing. Malin looks toward the hidden seam in the floor, then back at him. You need to understand something, Veyl. Your class was not placed in funerary support because we thought it was useless. That is new. Eiran waits. She does not continue. Of course not. Villains explain everything. Competent people stop before the useful part. Malin approaches his blackened cylinder. Her expression changes again. You found this. Yes. Did you attempt to summon your own terminal soul? No. That answer comes immediately. Malin relaxes. Very slightly. Eiran notices that too. So summoning his own future soul is either possible or disastrous. Excellent. Another experiment for later. You will not, Malin says. Not a request. Eiran glances at the black glass. Why? Because every person who has tried self-terminal observation has died. Now that is genuinely useful. He studies her. You said every person. Malin realizes the mistake. Too late. That means there have been others. Not necessarily future necromancers, but people capable of interacting with terminal records. The room suddenly feels much larger. Morrow lifts its head from Eiran's shoulder. Its pale eyes lock onto Malin. Then the shadow creature points. Not at the examiner, at her cylinder. Eiran follows. Malin Rook. A date sits beneath the glass. 8 months from now. He had not noticed it earlier. The number is short enough to be dangerous. Extremely short. Malin sees where he is looking. Her face hardens. Do not. Eiran looks back at her. You already know. That lands. The examiner goes still. There it is. Not fear of learning her death, fear of confirming it. Malin turns away from the cylinder. Leave this room. Eiran does not move. Now, he finally walks toward the exit. Not because she orders him, because staying would gain less than leaving. He now knows the archive predicts deaths. Someone built it before his awakening. His own record cannot be read. Malin's death is less than a year away. And the same 7-bell symbol connects the archive to Bram's future. That is enough information for one morning. Eiran passes Malin. Morrow reaches toward her as they cross. Its fingers brush empty air near the examiner's sleeve. A silver strand appears. Faint. Future residue. Impossible. Eiran stops. Malin is alive. No summon has been performed. There should be no residue around her. Morrow catches the strand. 1 second. 2, 3. A fragment flickers behind Malin. Not a whole soul, just part of one. Her future right hand. Burned black to the wrist. Wrapped around the same broken key Bram holds at his death. Eiran cancels the connection before Malin can turn. Morrow releases the thread. 4 seconds. Better than 5 with Bram's stronger residue. The Shade's arm remains intact this time. Improvement again. Eiran keeps walking. Malin looks over her shoulder. What? Nothing. She clearly does not believe him. Good. Uncertainty works both ways. They return to the hidden staircase. Before climbing, Eiran glances back. The first archive chamber remains open. Beyond it, 6 locked doors wait in the corridor. 2 bells, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. He does not need to open them today. Rushing unknown temporal infrastructure is how people end up becoming educational examples. Instead, he takes the chalk from his coat again. He marks a tiny line on the underside of the first stair, then another on the 7th, then one beneath the 21st. Malin watches. What are you doing? Counting. That is not counting, correct. It is a detection pattern. If anyone uses the staircase after him, the chalk dust shifts. Primitive. Reliable. No mana signature. No system notification. Exactly the kind of trap people overlook when they expect necromancy. They climb. Halfway up, Eiran stops at the 7th bell carved into the side wall. He presses one finger against its center. Morrow copies him. The creature's translucent arm becomes slightly darker. A message appears quietly behind Eiran's eyes. Auxiliary entity synchronization increased. Residue retention capacity expanding. Projected maximum duration 7 seconds. Our necromancer lowers his hand. There it is. A mechanism. Morrow is not growing from kills. Not corpses. Not mana stones. It grows from contact with temporal death residue. Every abnormal future strengthens it. Which means this hidden archive might be the richest training ground Eiran could possibly find. That changes the whole board. He does not need skeleton armies. He does not need graveyards. He needs futures. And Veyl Institute has apparently been collecting them for years. The door opens above. Noise from the academy pours in. Students arguing. Wardens shouting. Rumors already spreading. Eiran steps back into the challenge hall. Every head turns. Bram is gone. The cracked detection crystals remain. Several students move away from Eiran automatically. Nobody challenges him. Nobody laughs either. The difference is immediate. A boy near the railing whispers something. Eiran catches only 3 words. He shows deaths. Good. Wrong enough to protect the real mechanism. Malin begins issuing orders. Nobody is allowed to discuss the Undercroft. Nobody is allowed near the challenge hall. Bram's duel record is sealed. Naturally, this guarantees the story reaches every dormitory before dinner. Eiran walks past the crowd. Morrow stays flattened inside his shadow. Its new arm is almost fully formed now. At the far doorway, Eiran stops beside one of the broken detection crystals. He quietly takes a shard, pockets it, then keeps moving. The shard still carries a trace of the temporal distortion from Bram's summon, a portable training sample. Small, safe, repeatable. Exactly what he needs. By nightfall, Eiran is back inside his assigned dormitory room. He locks the door, closes the curtains, places the crystal shard on his desk. Then he sets the bronze archive token beside it. Morrow climbs onto the tabletop. Our necromancer draws 7 chalk circles around the crystal. Not ritual circles. Measurement rings. He places tiny markings beside each one. Distance, duration, mana consumption, residue strength. Then he activates the smallest fragment of his power. A spectral fingertip appears above the shard. Nothing more. Eiran cancels it. Morrow catches the thread. 6 seconds. Again, a knuckle. 7 seconds. Again, part of a wrist. 7 seconds. The shade's arm stabilizes completely. Eiran changes the distance between the crystal and the outer chalk ring. Again, 7 seconds. He moves the bronze token closer. Again, 9. That matters. Eiran repeats the test. 9 seconds. Again, 9. So the token amplifies temporal residue, not opens doors, not merely identifies authorized personnel. Amplifies. The archive was built around the same kind of force his class uses. Eiran sits back. Morrow places both hands on the crystal. Both. Yesterday, it only had one complete arm. Tonight, the second remains solid. A new notification arrives without ceremony. Auxiliary function improved. Residue retention stabilized. Dual thread capacity unlocked. 2 threads. 2 future fragments at once. Our guy looks at Morrow. The little shade looks back. Then it points toward the bronze token. Eiran turns it over. The 7-cut symbol has changed. A second hollow circle now sits beneath the first. Tiny. Fresh. Definitely not scratched there by hand. He takes out a blank notebook. On the first page, he draws the symbol exactly. On the second, he writes 7 names from the archive. On the third, he records Malin's 8-month terminal date. Then he tears out every page, burns them, and redraws the information in a substitution code only he uses. Practical paranoia is still practical. Outside his room, footsteps stop. Someone stands on the other side of the door. Eiran hears metal touch wood. A thin envelope slides underneath. No knock. The footsteps leave. Morrow drops from the desk. It approaches the envelope, then freezes. A silver thread rises from the paper. Future residue. Eiran stands. That should be impossible. Paper is not alive. Morrow reaches toward it. The thread wraps around both of its hands. The little shade trembles. Eiran does not summon. He does not touch the envelope. He simply watches Morrow hold the residue. 1 second. 3, 5, 7, 9. Then an image forms above the sealed paper without Eiran asking for one. A future fragment. A human hand places this exact envelope onto a white stone table. The hand is missing 2 fingers. A black ring covers the wrist. 7 cuts surround a hollow circle. The image shifts. Another hand reaches for the envelope. Eiran recognizes that one, his own. Then the future vanishes. Morrow releases the threads. 10 seconds. A full second longer than before. The companion straightens. Its body is no longer cat-sized. Now it reaches almost to Eiran's knee. Still weak. Still unfinished. But growing. Eiran picks up a pair of iron tongs. He uses them to lift the envelope. No fingerprints. No mana contact. He places it inside a metal document box, then locks the box instead of opening the letter. Whatever sent this expects curiosity to do the work. That is a terrible reason to cooperate. Eiran takes his coat from the chair. Morrow immediately climbs into his shadow. He pockets the archive token, then the cracked crystal shard. The Institute thinks he has returned to his dormitory to recover after revealing a dangerous ability. Malin probably expects him to stay quiet. The person who delivered the envelope definitely expects him to open it. So Eiran does neither. He opens his dormitory door, steps into the empty corridor, and heads toward the Public Records Wing to find out who first authorized construction beneath Veyl Institute. The Public Records Wing closes at midnight. Eiran arrives 7 minutes before that, naturally. A bored clerk sits behind the front desk, surrounded by enough paper to qualify as a defensive structure. She barely looks up. Student access ends in 7 minutes. Eiran places his identification card on the counter. I only need 6. That gets a look. The clerk checks his name, then checks it again. Recognition arrives. Not the pleasant kind. You are him. Apparently the rumor network works faster than expected. Eiran waits. The death guy. Close enough. The clerk quietly pushes his identification card back. You get 5 minutes. Progress. Our necromancer walks between the archive shelves. Morrow moves beneath his feet like an unusually disciplined shadow. The public wing contains nothing truly secret. Construction permits, funding records, old faculty rosters, maintenance logs. The kind of material everyone ignores because important conspiracies are supposed to hide behind blood seals and forbidden grimoires. In reality, bureaucracy remembers almost everything. Eiran starts with the oldest building plan. Veyl Institute officially begins construction 73 years ago. The original foundation covers 4 buildings. No undercroft. Expected. He moves forward by year. Expansion permit. Mana drainage system, second dormitory, combat hall reinforcement. Still nothing. Then he finds a gap. 9 years of records disappear completely. No permits, no budget revisions, no excavation contracts. For a functioning academy, that is almost impossible. Eiran checks the annual maintenance ledgers instead. There, a recurring payment. White foundation stabilization. No location. No architect, no department. Same amount every year. The payment begins 81 years ago. 8 years before Veyl Institute officially exists. Eiran stops turning pages. That is not an academy building underneath the school. The school is sitting on top of something older. Morrow emerges slightly from his shadow. One pale hand points toward the ledger, specifically toward the authorization signature. Directorate of Continuity Affairs. Eiran has never heard of it. He memorizes the name. Then the lamps go out. Every one. At once. The clerk at the front desk curses. A second later, emergency runes activate along the floor. Red light fills the archive. Someone locks the outer doors. That is less convenient. Eiran closes the ledger. Footsteps approach from the east aisle. 3 people, heavy enough to be adults. One drags the heels slightly, one carries metal, the third walks almost silently. Morrow sinks fully into the floor. Our guy does not reach for a weapon. He does not own one. The first attacker appears between the shelves. Black coat, no institute insignia. A half mask covers the lower face. The man raises a suppression rod, not a killing weapon. Interesting. 2 more emerge behind him. The silent one is a woman with narrow silver bands around both wrists. Spatial restraint gear. Professional equipment. This is not a student prank. The man with the rod speaks first. Eiran Vale. He knows the answer already. Eiran looks at the locked doors. Archive closes in 4 minutes. The attacker pauses. Apparently that was not the expected response. Hand over the bronze token. There it is. Eiran studies him. No anger. No accusation. No attempt to pretend this is institute business. They know exactly what they want. Who sent you? The masked man steps closer. Token. Eiran notices his gloves. Black leather. 7 tiny stitches circle the wrist. Hollow center. Same symbol. Excellent. The problem just volunteered evidence. The attacker raises the suppression rod. Blue arcs snap along the metal. Eiran still does nothing. The woman moves first. She touches 2 fingers together. Space tightens. Invisible pressure slams Eiran against the bookshelf. Hard. His shoulder strikes wood. Several ledgers fall. Pain flashes down his arm. Stage 1 arrives with absolutely no ceremony. The masked man walks forward. You are not a combat caster. Correct. The institute record says you have no reinforcement skill. Also correct. You cannot summon corpses. Correct again. Whoever briefed them has access to his official file. They just do not have today's update. That part is useful. Eiran tests the spatial restraint. His left hand moves less than an inch. His right cannot move at all. The woman keeps him pinned. The third attacker steps toward his coat. Going for the token, Morrow remains hidden. Good. The tiny spirit has learned patience. The third attacker reaches into Eiran's pocket. His fingers close around the bronze disc. Nothing happens. Then the token turns black. The man flinches. Morrow catches a silver thread rising from his wrist. Eiran sees it immediately. Future residue. Again, no summon, no terminal invocation. Just residue already attached to a living person. That should not exist. 3 days ago, Eiran believes temporal residue only appears after his own power touches a target. Yesterday, Malin proves otherwise. Now these attackers carry it too. The old model is dead, so he replaces it. Someone else has already exposed these people to terminal energy. That is the mismatch. The timeline is not simply producing deaths. Something is interacting with those deaths before Eiran reaches them. Our Necromancer stops testing the restraint, changes priorities. No longer escape first, information first. The masked man notices the shift in his expression. What? Eiran looks directly at him. Nothing. That answer irritates people remarkably well. The man brings the suppression rod against Eiran's chest. Mana discharge tears through his nervous system. His muscles seize. Vision blurs. The bookshelf cracks behind him, painfully effective. The attacker leans closer. Last chance. Eiran breathes once, slow. He watches the man's stance. Weight on the rear foot, rod in the right hand. Left shoulder guarded, combat trained. Probably expects necromancy to require gestures. The woman controlling space stands farther back. She is the real problem. The third attacker now holds the token. Except Morrow is attached to his shadow. Perfect. Stage 2. Read the field. No panic, no dramatic comeback. Just mechanics. Eiran turns his eyes toward the man holding the token. The system responds. Living target confirmed. Terminal record accessible. Temporal distance 6 minutes. That is short, very short. Cause of death accessible. Eiran goes still. 6 minutes. The man is supposed to die here. Tonight, the attacker notices. You saw something. Eiran does not answer. The future is already changing, because according to the terminal signature, this man dies in 6 minutes. But Eiran has never been in this archive in any prior model of events. There is no prior model, no remembered timeline, no prophecy, only the terminal record. And yet the future residue on the attacker exists before Eiran summons him, which means the death may already be anchored. That distinction matters. Predicted is one thing. Prepared is another. Eiran recalibrates. He does not summon the whole soul. Instead, he targets one fragment. Final sight. The interface behind his eyes tightens. Mana burns behind his temples. The spatial restraint fights the casting motion, but the skill does not need his hands anymore. That is another assumption his attackers got wrong. A translucent eye appears beside the token thief. Only an eye. Clouded. Bloodshot. Dead. The thief jerks backward. What the hell is that? Morrow catches the second thread. Dual thread capacity. Now, the little shadow emerges behind the thief's feet and grips both strands. One belongs to the present residue. One belongs to the terminal fragment. The two silver lines cross. For the first time, Eiran sees through the future fragment without summoning the entire soul. A hallway. Red archive lights. The token thief running. The masked man behind him. The spatial caster screaming. Then something white erupts through the floor. Not stone. A hand. Human-shaped. Far too long. The thief looks down. A black ring appears around his ankle. His future self reaches for the bronze token. The token cracks. The last thing he sees is Eiran standing 20 feet away. Alive. Untouched. The vision ends. The present thief drops the token. He sees everything too. That is the price of terminal contact. His face empties. No. The spatial restraint weakens. Eiran's right hand moves. 1 inch. Enough. The masked leader looks toward his companion. What did he do? The thief backs away. Floor. What? The floor, he runs. Not at Eiran. Away from him. The masked man grabs his coat. The thief swings wildly. Pure panic. The suppression formation destabilizes. Eiran pushes off the shelf. His knees almost buckle from the electrical damage. He stays standing. Barely. The woman snaps her fingers. Space clamps down again. Stronger this time. Books explode off the shelves. Eiran's ribs compress. That hurts considerably more than he would prefer. Stage 3. No punches. No counterspell. No heroic charge. He just looks at the woman. Living target confirmed. Terminal distance 42 years. Stable. 'Cause accessible, he selects final sight again. Nothing appears. The system rejects the command. Temporal interference detected. Eiran narrows his eyes. Interesting. She carries one of the silver wristbands. The same black ring material appears in the thief's future death. Her equipment is interfering with terminal extraction, so the enemy has protection, not immunity. Protection. That is the kind of distinction people regret. Eiran changes targets. The masked leader. Living target confirmed. Terminal distance 12 seconds. Well, that saves time. He summons. Not the whole soul. A face. Only the future face. It appears directly beside the masked man's shoulder. Burned skin. Broken jaw. One eye missing. The leader turns. Sees himself. And freezes. The connection hits. 12 seconds of future collapse into one brutal instant. The masked man sees the archive floor split. He sees his own suppression rod overload. He sees the spatial caster lose control. He sees the token thief run across a containment seal. He sees Eiran standing perfectly still. Then he sees the thing beneath the floor wake up. His present body starts shaking. Stop, Eiran says nothing. The future face opens its one remaining eye. The masked leader screams. His grip loosens. The suppression rod falls. Electric discharge detonates against the floor, exactly where the future showed it. The token thief, already panicking, jumps backward. His heel lands on a circular maintenance plate. 7 hidden marks ignite around it. There. The same pattern. Not random, not coincidence. The undercroft extends beneath the public archive. The plate ruptures. White fingers spear upward. The thief screams. Morrow reacts first. The little shadow grabs the man's future thread with both hands. Pulls. Not toward Eiran. Sideways. The thief's body jerks half a step. The white hand misses his chest. It catches his coat instead. Fabric tears. The man crashes onto the floor. Alive. Eiran sees the difference immediately. Terminal distance recalculating. 6 minutes becomes unavailable. The future changes. Actually changes. Not revealed. Changed. That is enormous. The thief stares at the hole in the floor, then at Eiran. He understands one thing. He was supposed to die. and somehow he did not. Morrow stands between them, arms trembling. The shadow has never physically affected a living body before, not directly. It only pulled the terminal thread. But because the thread was attached to the target's death path, the present moved with it. Tiny displacement, half a step, enough to break a death. The system finally speaks. Terminal divergence confirmed. Auxiliary entity function evolved. Fate displacement provisional. Maximum deviation, 1 step. 1 step. Ridiculous name. Ridiculous limitation. Absolutely terrifying potential. The spatial caster loses focus. Her restraint collapses. Eiran falls forward, catches himself against a shelf. The masked leader is still staring at his future face. 10 seconds remain, then 8, then 6. Except Eiran now knows the future is not fixed. He looks at the suppression rod sparking on the floor. In the recorded death, the rod explodes, so he kicks it, nothing fancy. The metal cylinder rolls beneath a desk. The future face flickers, its burn marks change. The missing eye returns. New injuries appear around the throat. The leader sees the revision. That breaks him harder than the first death, because now he understands. The future can move. But every version still ends with him dying here. He drops to both knees. Get it away. The future face changes again. Different death. Still 12 seconds away. Eiran watches. Not the injuries. The environment. Every version contains the same white hand. Same floor. Same black ring. That is the anchor. Not the attacker. Not the rod. The thing below. Eiran finally understands what his power is showing him. Some deaths are flexible. Some contain fixed elements. His ability does not simply show a movie. It exposes the structure holding the death together. That will matter later. A lot. The white fingers grip the edge of the broken floor. The spatial caster runs. Professional composure gone. The thief crawls after her. The masked leader cannot move. His future face hangs beside him like an execution notice. Eiran could leave. Probably should. Instead, he looks at Morrow. The shade is exhausted. Both arms flicker. Still, it raises one hand. 1 step. That is all it can change. Eiran points toward the masked leader. Morrow grabs the terminal thread. Pulls. The man shifts sideways. Barely. A white spike erupts through the exact place his skull occupied. Stone shatters. The future face vanishes. Terminal distance recalculates. 49 years. Eiran exhales. The leader does not. He stares at the hole beside him, then at Eiran. No gratitude. Only absolute terror. Good. Gratitude creates conversations. Terror creates distance. Stage 4 arrives quietly. Nobody wins a duel. Nobody loses a limb. Nobody even manages to hit Eiran after the restraint breaks. But 3 trained infiltrators are now running through Veyl Institute, convinced the lowest-ranked necromancer in the academy can both show their deaths and move them. The rumor will be unbearable by morning. More importantly, Eiran now has proof. The attackers carry terminal contamination. The black ring material interferes with future extraction. The hidden structure extends beyond the challenge hall. And Morrow can alter a death path by exactly 1 physical step. That last part changes everything. The masked leader staggers upright. Eiran picks up the bronze token. The man flinches. Our necromancer looks at him. Who sent you? The leader opens his mouth, then stops. His eyes move toward the broken floor. A symbol glows beneath the white hand. 7 cuts, hollow center. The same mark. He gives no answer. He does not need to. His silence confirms enough. The 3 attackers retreat through a staff exit the clerk apparently forgot existed. Eiran lets them go. Chasing people is combat. He has no interest in starting that habit. The clerk eventually crawls out from behind the front desk. Her face is white. She looks at the destroyed archive, then at Eiran, then at the hand sticking through the floor. Was that yours? Eiran looks down. The white fingers twitch. No. The clerk nods once. Good. Then she faints. Reasonable response. Alarm bells begin ringing across the institute. Real bells this time, not 7. 12. Faculty rush toward the archive. Security wards activate. Students wake in the dormitories. Within minutes, Malin Rook arrives. She sees the broken floor. The black symbol. The unconscious clerk. Eiran standing beside 3 untouched shelves. Her expression becomes incredibly tired. You had 5 minutes. I used 4. Malin looks like she regrets every professional decision that brought her here. Then she notices the white hand. Her face loses color. Not much. Enough. Eiran notices. Directorate of Continuity Affairs. Malin's eyes snap toward him. There. Another answer. She knows the name. Before she can speak, Morrow appears behind Eiran, visible only to him. The little shadow is taller now, almost waist-high. Both arms remain complete. Its fingers are longer. More human. One hand rests against the floor. Silver threads spread outward beneath the stone. Not one, not two, dozens. Every thread runs downward, toward the undercroft. Morrow slowly points at Eiran, then at the floor, then it raises both hands. 10 silver threads tremble at once. Eiran understands immediately. Dual thread capacity was only the beginning. The creature is learning to hold more deaths. One day, perhaps many more, that becomes the shape of the next problem and the next weapon. He takes the cracked detection crystal from his pocket, places it beside the glowing 7-mark symbol. The crystal turns black. Then something new happens. A terminal notification appears. Not for a person, for a location. White Undercroft, terminal event detected. Estimated convergence unknown. Population exposure expanding. Eiran stares at the words. Locations are not supposed to have deaths. The system apparently disagrees. Malin asks what he sees. This time, our necromancer does answer. Something under this school is going to die. Then he crouches, presses the bronze token against the exposed symbol, and deliberately unlocks the second route into the White Undercroft before anyone can stop him. The second route into the White Undercroft opens directly beneath the public archive. That alone is bad. What waits on the other side is worse. The bronze token sinks into the 7-mark seal. White stone folds inward. Not slides, folds. The floor peels apart in 7 perfect sections, exposing a vertical shaft filled with silver light. Malin grabs Eiran's wrist. Hard. No. That is the strongest reaction he has seen from her yet. Our necromancer looks at her hand, then at her face. You knew this was here. I knew there were sealed sections. Different answer. Malin tightens her grip. Around them, faculty members are evacuating the archive. Wardens drag the unconscious clerk away. Nobody approaches the opening. Again, experienced combat instructors. Armed security. An unknown structure beneath their own academy. And not a single one wants to look down. That tells Eiran more than any explanation could. Malin lowers her voice. Close it. Eiran glances into the shaft. Morrow stands at the edge. The shadow companion leans forward. Silver threads rise from below and wrap around both of its arms. Dozens now. The creature trembles, but it does not retreat. A message appears behind Eiran's eyes. Terminal density exceeds safe extraction threshold. Another follows. Location, terminal record unstable. Then a third. Foreign observer detected. That one is new. Eiran looks upward. Nobody. Then sideways, faculty. Students gathering behind security barriers. No obvious threat, so he looks down. Far beneath the shaft, something looks back. Not eyes. A circle. Black. Surrounded by 7 vertical marks. Then it disappears. Eiran removes the token. The floor slams shut. Malin releases his wrist. Good. Someone was watching. Her expression freezes. Only briefly. That is enough. From below, Eiran says nothing. Malin does not ask again. Excellent. They understand each other. Badly, but efficiently. By morning, Veyl Institute has 3 emergencies. The public archive is damaged. An unauthorized group has infiltrated academy grounds, and approximately 600 students now believe Eiran Vale can decide how people die. The last one is completely false. Naturally, it becomes the most popular version. Breakfast is a disaster. Eiran enters the dining hall. Conversation stops, not gradually, instantly. Spoons pause halfway to mouths. A third-year firecaster stands up and leaves without finishing his meal. 2 first years shift their chairs aside so Eiran has an absolutely ridiculous amount of space to walk past. Morrow follows inside his shadow. The little companion is taller again, almost hip-high. Nobody can see it, but several students rub their arms as Eiran passes. The temperature around Morrow drops slightly when it carries stored residue. Useful, also inconvenient. Eiran takes a tray. Bread, eggs, coffee. He chooses the emptiest table. Every nearby table becomes empty within 30 seconds. Perfect. Peace at last. Then someone sits opposite him. Of course. Her name is Lysa Morcant, second-year barrier specialist. Alive, bright-eyed, and one of the 7 names from the hidden archive. Eiran stops cutting his bread. Lysa places a bowl of fruit on the table. You are staring. You sat here. Yes. Why? Everyone else is being weird. A brave answer, or a stupid one, possibly both. She bites into an apple slice. Eiran studies her. Lysa's terminal cylinder in the Undercroft contained a silver record. He did not check the date. That was deliberate. Information changes behavior. He does not want to become the kind of person who can only see people as countdowns. That seems exhausting. Lysa points toward his coffee. Is it true? No. I did not ask yet. Still no. She smiles, annoyingly persistent. Can you really show someone exactly how they die? Yes. Her smile disappears. Better question, worse answer. And Bram saw his? Yes. Did he deserve that? Eiran takes a drink. He tried to cut me. Lysa considers this. Fair. Surprisingly efficient moral system. She leans closer. Can the future change? That question is different. Eiran looks at her properly now. Most students ask whether he can summon kings, or monsters, or their dead grandparents before they die. Nobody asks about mutability, except Bram. Change it. And now Lysa. Yes. Her fingers stop around the apple. How do you know? Eiran remembers the masked attacker moving one step away from his death. Morrow remembers too. The shadow beside his chair quietly raises one finger. One step. Our information was wrong. Lysa frowns. That sounds suspiciously vague. It is accurate. Before she can continue, the dining hall doors open. 3 academy wardens enter. Behind them comes Director Solvin Mar, another name from the 7 Cylinders. That changes the atmosphere. Solvin is not merely Veyl's director. He is one of the country's 12 licensed Grand Class Awakened. An old spatial architect who helped redesign half the city's defensive network. Most students never see him outside ceremonial events. Today he walks directly toward Eiran. Wonderful. Solvin stops beside the table. Veyl. Eiran keeps eating. Director, come with me. Lysa immediately stands. Solvin looks at her. She sits back down. Apparently bravery has reasonable limits. Eiran finishes his coffee, then follows. The entire dining hall watches him leave. By lunch, the rumor becomes that the director personally recruited him into a secret execution division. Again, false, mostly. Solvin takes Eiran to the upper administration tower. No wardens inside, no mail-in. Just one circular office with windows overlooking the entire institute. The director places a new identification badge on the desk. Black metal, no rank color. Your class designation has been revised. Eiran picks it up. Future type Necromancer, provisional singular class, combat evaluation pending. Restricted ability classification. Underneath sits a new access tier, Black 4. His previous level was Gray 1. That is an absurd jump. Black 4 allows entry into restricted training halls, sealed libraries, advanced tactical courses, and faculty-supervised research areas. In other words, Veyl has gone from ignoring him to giving him exactly what he needs. Suspicious generosity. Solvin watches his expression. You are not surprised. I am suspicious. Good. At least the director appreciates honesty. Solvin zits. Your duel yesterday proved that the Institute's classification model failed. It failed 3 years ago. Yes, no excuse. Interesting, the old man continues. We believed your class had no viable target, because you tested corpses. Yes, repeatedly, yes. Despite repeated failure, Solvin, pose. This meeting is becoming less pleasant than intended. Then it is accurate. The director almost smiles. Almost. He opens a drawer, places 3 sealed documents on the desk, combat license amendment, independent research authorization, and an invitation. Veyl Institute Temporal Risk Seminar. Eiran looks at the last page. Only 6 names, all faculty, 1 student. Him. Temporal magic is not necromancy, Solvin says. Mine is. That is the problem. Finally. Something useful. Solvin folds his hands. Every known necromantic system interacts with completed death. Eiran listens. Every known temporal system interacts with events while preserving the living soul. Still listening. Your class does both. There. The world finally understands the paradox. Eiran reaches into his coat, touches the bronze token through the fabric. The director notices. His eyes drop for half a second. Another useful reaction. You recognize this token. Solvin does not answer immediately. Yes. From the White Undercroft. Yes. Better than Malin. Still incomplete. Eiran places the token on the desk. The 7-mark symbol faces upward. Solvin does not touch it. When was the Undercroft built? Before Veyl. How long before? We do not know. True. Probably. Eiran studies the director. What is the Directorate of Continuity Affairs? That hits harder. Solvin's fingers stop moving. There, the name matters. Where did you hear that? Maintenance records. A painfully mundane answer for a very non-mundane problem. Solvin rises, walks toward the window. His reflection looks older than the man himself. The directorate was dissolved 46 years ago. Why? No official reason. Unofficial? Solvin remains quiet. Morrow rises out of Eiran's shadow. Only Eiran sees it. The companion points toward Solvin. A silver thread hangs from the director's shoulder. Terminal residue. Again. Eiran does not activate anything. He simply watches. Morrow reaches for it. Eiran lifts 2 fingers. Stop. The shade freezes. Good. Control matters more than curiosity. Solvin turns. If anyone approaches you using that name, do not go with them. Someone already did. That gets the director moving. Fast. What? 3 infiltrators? When? Last night. Why was this not reported? Eiran looks at him. Solvin realizes how stupid the question sounds inside an academy currently trying to contain 3 separate crises. Fair enough. What did they want? The token. Did they take it? Eiran looks at the token sitting between them. Solvin closes his eyes for 1 second, probably regretting the quality of his criminals. Describe them. Eiran gives only what matters. Black coats, 7-stitch wrist symbol, black ring equipment, spatial caster, suppression weapon, terminal contamination. That last detail changes Solvin's face. Contamination? Future residue attached before I used my class. The director goes completely still. That reaction is stronger than anything else, Eiran notices. What does that mean? Solvin does not answer. Instead, he walks to a wall cabinet, unlocks 3 physical locks. No mana. Smart. Inside sits a thin black book. He places it on the desk. No title, no academy crest, only the 7-mark symbol. The same one. Eiran reaches for it. Solvin places one hand over the cover. Not yet. Our necromancer looks at him. You brought it out. To show you it exists. That is inefficient. It is also the only reason you are still sitting here instead of breaking into another restricted area. Fair. Solvin pushes the new Black 4 identification badge toward him. You want answers? Yes. The Institute wants to know what you can do. Also, yes. So we make an exchange. Now they are speaking the same language. Eiran picks up the badge. What exchange? 3 controlled demonstrations. Absolutely not. Solvin sees the answer before Eiran says it. No unwilling subjects. Better. No complete terminal summons unless necessary. Better. You choose what fragments to extract. Much better. In return, you receive supervised access to the sealed historical collection. Eiran looks at the black book. Including that? Eventually. Terrible word. But workable. Who are the subjects? Solvin slides a list across the table. Volunteers from advanced combat divisions. Everyone has signed psychological waivers. Eiran scans the names, then stops. The final volunteer is Lisa Morcant. Of course. She volunteered this morning, Solvin says. Eiran puts the list down. No. Why? She is unnecessary. Solvin studies him. Interesting. The director does not know Lisa's name appears inside the Undercroft, or he is pretending not to. Either possibility matters. Choose someone else. Solvin nods. No argument. That is more suspicious than resistance. 2 days later, the first controlled demonstration turns into the most watched research session in Veyl Institute history. Not publicly watched. Officially, only 11 observers attend. Unofficially, half the academy somehow knows which restricted training room is being used. Students pack the neighboring corridors. Faculty invent reasons to walk past. Even kitchen staff appear on the wrong floor. Eiran stands inside a circular test chamber. Across from him waits Joran Pell, a 4th-year reinforcement specialist, volunteer, confident, well-informed. He knows exactly what the skill does. That matters. Fear from ignorance is easy. Fear after preparation is more useful to measure. Morrow waits beside Eiran. Taller now, nearly chest-high. Its body still lacks details. No mouth, no clothing, no clear face. But both arms are stable. Silver residue circles its wrists like thin smoke. Eiran chooses a fragment. Not final sight. Final sound. The system responds. Terminal record accessible. Temporal distance 36 years. Extraction stable. Eiran activates. A translucent ear appears beside Joran. Nothing else. Several observers look confused. Joran does not. The connection hits. He hears his death. Rain. A carriage wheel. Someone shouting his name. Then a cracking sound. His own ribs. Silence. Joran's breathing changes. But he stays standing. Good. Eiran cancels the fragment. Morrow catches the residue. 12 seconds. New record. The companion has improved again. Eiran immediately performs a second test. Final temperature. Then final smell. Then final physical orientation. Each fragment produces less psychological damage than a full terminal summon. Each costs drastically less mana. By the end of the session, Eiran has discovered 5 extractable components. Sight, sound, touch, temperature, spatial orientation. He does not need to destroy someone's mind to learn from their future. That changes his class from intimidation into information warfare, much more useful. The observers understand this too. Malin watches from behind reinforced glass. Solvin writes nothing, which means he is memorizing everything. Morrow performs its own experiment. After each fragment, it holds the residue. 12 seconds becomes 14. 14 becomes 17. Then it does something new. It places one captured thread against another. 2 different terminal fragments. The threads do not merge. They resonate. Eiran sees a brief pattern. Both deaths occur near running water, different cities, different decades, same symbol carved into a nearby stone surface, 7 marks. Hollow circle. He cancels immediately. Nobody else notices. Morrow looks at him. Now they have something far more dangerous than storage. Comparison. The companion can identify shared elements across unrelated deaths, patterns inside the future. That is no longer a trick. That is intelligence gathering on a scale Veyl does not understand. Eiran does not tell them, obviously. Over the next week, his position inside the academy changes completely. Students stop challenging him. Advanced instructors request observation sessions. 3 guild representatives send recruitment letters. 1 government office requests formal registration of his terminal skill. He declines all of them. Instead, he uses Black 4 access to enter restricted libraries, studies temporal theory, reads old necromancy failures, builds a private index of every reference to terminal phenomena, and trains Morrow with tiny fragments taken only from consenting subjects. No full souls, no unnecessary collapse, no wasted information. Morrow grows, not larger, sharper. Its outline stabilizes, its hands gain individual fingers. A thin silver ring forms around its neck, not black, silver. Eiran notices immediately. The black ring material suppresses terminal extraction. Morrow develops the opposite. A silver ring. Amplification. That cannot be coincidence. Meanwhile, the enemy reacts. The 3 infiltrators disappear from city records. Their identities are erased. Their dormitory rentals terminate retroactively. Their payment accounts never existed. Someone is cleaning. Carefully, the directorate may be dissolved officially. Something wearing its bones is very much alive. Eiran lets them believe he is busy becoming famous. He attends the demonstrations, accepts the new classification, allows rumors to grow. Every public action makes him look increasingly focused on mastering combat applications. Privately, he builds something else. A map, not of Veyl Institute, of deaths. Morrow compares terminal fragments from volunteers. Eiran records recurring environmental markers. White stone, silver rain, black rings. 7 bell symbols. Underground doors. The pattern expands. Not every death connects. Most do not, but enough do. 7 people become 11. 11 become 19. Faculty. Students. Guild officers. People who should never share the same future. Yet somehow their terminal moments all contain pieces of the same architecture. A wall. A bell. A broken white corridor. A black ring. Like dozens of unrelated lives are eventually being pulled toward one place. One event. One convergence. And the closer the projected death is to that event, the stronger the residue becomes. Morrow discovers this first. One evening, the companion drags 3 silver threads across Eiran's map. They intersect. Directly beneath the Central Academy Tower, Eiran checks the dates. Different deaths. Different years. Impossible intersection, unless the place itself moves through time. Or the victims are brought to different versions of the same location. Our necromancer leans back. That is a much worse possibility. Then someone knocks. One time. Slow. Eiran hides the map. Morrow sinks into the floor. He opens the door. Nobody stands outside. A black book lies on the ground. The one from Solvin's cabinet. No note. No explanation. The director would not deliver it like this. Eiran uses iron tongs, carries it inside, places it under a ward lamp. No poison. No active curse. No detectable mana. Morrow approaches, stops, then points at the cover. Silver residue pours from the black book. Not a thread. A flood. The companion recoils. Eiran closes the book inside a containment box. Too late. One image has already escaped. A fragment projected across the wall. Old. Grainy. Almost colorless. 7 people stand inside the white undercroft. Not dead. Researchers. Their clothing belongs to another era. One holds the exact bronze token Eiran carries. Another wears a silver ring around the neck. The same ring now forming on Morrow. Behind them stands a black board covered in writing. Most of it is unreadable. One sentence remains clear. Terminal necromancy does not predict death. Below it, another line. It selects which future is allowed to answer. The projection breaks. Morrow falls backward. Eiran catches the companion before it hits the floor. Silence fills the room. That sentence changes the mechanism completely. If true, Eiran has never been summoning the future. Not exactly. He has been choosing one future from several possible deaths and forcing that version to manifest. Which means every enemy who collapses after seeing their death is not witnessing destiny. They are witnessing a candidate. And someone beneath Veyl Institute knew that decades before Eiran was born. Morrow raises one trembling hand, points at the containment box, then at Eiran. Then it does something it has never done before. The shadow companion writes directly into the dust on the floor. One word, not first. Eiran looks at it. Morrow's hand shakes. Its silver collar flashes once, then goes dark. Our necromancer opens his hidden map, places the containment box beside it, and adds a new question at the center instead of another death marker. Who used terminal necromancy before him? The black book contains no writing, at least not until Eiran puts a future beside it. That discovery happens at 3 in the morning. Naturally, our necromancer sits alone inside his dormitory room with the curtains shut, the door warded, and enough stolen sleep to make normal decision-making increasingly theoretical. The containment box rests on his desk. Morrow stands beside it. The shadow companion now reaches Eiran's chest. Its silver collar remains dim. The words it scratched into the floor are still there. Not first. Eiran does not open the book. Not yet. Instead, he takes out the cracked detection crystal from Bram's duel, places it beside the containment box. Then he extracts the smallest terminal fragment stored inside the crystal, a future fingerprint. Barely anything. The spectral print appears above his palm. The black book reacts instantly. Silver letters burn across the cover. No title, a date. 82 years ago. Morrow recoils. Eiran does not. He changes the fragment. Another piece. A future eye. The date disappears. A different line appears. Subject compatibility confirmed. Interesting. He cancels the summon. The words vanish. So the book does not contain ordinary ink. It responds to terminal signatures. That explains why Solvin can own it without knowing everything inside. The information is locked behind a class that officially does not exist, or did not exist anymore, until Eiran. He takes a fresh sheet of paper, draws 3 columns, fragment, response, mana cost, then begins testing. Final sound. The book displays a series of names. Final touch. A floor plan appears. Final temperature. A diagram of 7 concentric circles. Spatial orientation. Coordinates. Sight. A face. That one makes Eiran stop. The projection rising above the book belongs to a young man. Dark hair. Thin features. Veyl uniform from another era. A silver ring around his throat. Not jewelry. Embedded. His eyes are completely black. Beneath the image, a designation appears. Terminal Necromancer, Subject 4. Eiran stares. Morrow does too. The shadow companion slowly touches its own silver collar. Same position, different material. Our guide changes the terminal fragment. The image advances. Not like a recording. Like the book is choosing relevant memories based on whatever piece of death Eiran feeds it. Subject 4 stands inside the white undercroft. 3 researchers surround him. No skeletons. No corpses. No undead army. Instead, 7 living prisoners kneel behind glass walls. Subject 4 raises one hand. 7 translucent figures appear beside them. Future souls. Every prisoner sees their own death. The first collapses instantly. The second begins screaming. The third tries to claw out his own eyes. The fourth goes completely silent. The researchers keep writing. Eiran cancels the fragment. The room becomes dark again. Morrow turns toward him. No mouth. Still, the reaction is obvious. It does not like what they just saw. Neither does Eiran, not because of the prisoners. That part is ugly but simple. The problem is the number. 7 simultaneous future souls. Eiran can barely maintain one complete terminal manifestation efficiently. Fragments are easier. Morrow can hold multiple residues. But 7 full souls at once? Subject 4 is operating several stages above him, which means either the old necromancer was vastly stronger or someone gave him a method Eiran does not have. That matters. A lot. Eiran chooses another fragment. The book responds. Subject 5. Different person. A woman this time. Older. One eye covered by silver metal. She stands in the same undercroft chamber, but there are no prisoners. Only one target. A military officer. The woman summons his future soul. The officer sees his death. Then Subject 5 dismisses it, summons another. Same person. Different death. The officer collapses. Another summon. Different death again. Another. 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 5 futures. 5 deaths. 1 living target. Eiran leans forward. There it is. Confirmation. The terminal record is not singular. The old researchers already knew. A future soul is not the soul from the future. It is a soul from a future. One branch. One terminal possibility. That makes the title of Necromancer almost misleading. He is not pulling dead people backward. He is opening a door to the moment a possible version of that person dies, and choosing which dying version answers. The book produces another line. Selection bias increases with observer intent. Eiran reads it twice. That is worse. His own expectations influence which death appears. Meaning, fear works both ways. When an enemy stands in front of him and Eiran expects violence, The skill naturally selects futures shaped by that confrontation. No wonder the deaths are so effective psychologically. The system is not randomly choosing a distant peaceful ending. It is leaning toward futures relevant to the present conflict. The thought settles. Cold. Precise. Dangerous. Our necromancer writes one sentence in his coded notebook. Do not assume the first death is neutral, then he underlines it. Once. No more. The next projection begins automatically. Eiran did not feed the book another fragment. That is not ideal. Subject 6 appears, then Subject 7, then no, Subject 8. The sequence stops. A black screen replaces the image. One line forms. Terminal program terminated. Another. Surviving Subject 0. Morrow's silver collar flickers. The shadow companion backs away. Eiran remains still, so every previous terminal necromancer is dead. Good. That preserves one fact. He is still the only one alive. Then another sentence appears. Because of program termination convergence event. White light fills the room. Eiran is no longer looking at the dormitory wall. He is looking through the book. Into the past. Not a memory exactly. A terminal reconstruction. The white undercroft is collapsing. Researchers run between white pillars. Silver rain pours from the ceiling. Black rings ignite around doorways. 7 bells are sounding. Subject 7 stands in the center. A young woman, blood at her mouth. A silver collar split down the middle. Dozens of future souls surround her. Not enemies. Researchers, guards, students. People who will not die for decades. All screaming silently. Every soul points in the same direction. Toward a sealed door. 7 bells engraved above it. The same door Bram sees before his own death 11 years from now. The same architecture appearing across 19 unrelated terminal records. Subject 7 reaches toward the door. The projection distorts. Something on the other side reaches back. A hand covered in black ceremonial metal. Exactly what Bram sees. Eiran does not move. Morrow does. The companion lunges toward the image. Its fingers pass through the projection. Silver threads explode across the room. Hundreds. Not from the book. From Morrow. Every stored terminal residue it has ever touched erupts at once. Bram. Malin. The infiltrators. Joran Pell. The volunteers. The archive fragments. All of them. The threads pull toward the projected black hand. Morrow screams. No sound. Its whole body tears sideways. Eiran catches the companion by the silver collar. Cold slams through his arm. A system warning burns across his vision. Auxiliary entity synchronization destabilizing. He closes the book. Nothing happens. The projection remains. So he does something simpler. Eiran kicks the desk over. The containment box hits the floor. The book loses contact with the terminal crystal. The image collapses. Every silver thread snaps back. Morrow crashes against the wall. Silence. Then the lamps burst. Our necromancer kneels beside the companion. Morrow's outline flickers violently. One arm is gone again. Half its torso is transparent. The silver collar has cracked. Eiran puts 2 fingers against the fracture. The interface responds. Auxiliary entity damaged. Terminal overload. Foreign convergence signature detected. Repair possible through controlled residue cycling. Good. Repairable. He begins immediately. Small fragment. 1 second. Cancel. Morrow catches it. Releases. Another. 2 seconds. Release. Again. No brute force. No flood. Controlled cycles. The silver collar slowly reconnects. Eiran watches the mechanism. Terminal residue enters through Morrow's hands. Moves through the collar. Exits into shadow. Not storage. Processing. That is new. Morrow does not merely hold future residue. It filters it. Maybe that is why the black rings suppress extraction while Morrow's silver collar amplifies it. Opposite technologies. Black rings close possible futures. Silver structures keep them open. Eiran stops. There. A deeper mechanism. He looks toward the fallen black book. The directorate was not just studying terminal necromancers. It was building equipment around them. Black rings for suppression. Silver collars for stabilization. White undercroft architecture for convergence. The entire hidden facility is a machine. And terminal necromancers were components. That changes the problem completely. Until tonight, Eiran assumes the undercroft exists because people studied powers like his. Wrong. The power may have been cultivated because the undercroft needed it. A tool designed around a class. Or a class shaped around a machine. Either possibility is ugly. Morrow's remaining hand grips his sleeve. The companion points at its own chest. Then at Eiran. Then at the black book. Eiran understands the question. What are you? Morrow does not answer. Obviously. But its collar brightens. A new line appears behind Eiran's eyes. Auxiliary entity designation incomplete. Origin field inaccessible. Link system architecture detected. Our necromancer stares. Morrow is connected to the same architecture, not proof that the companion came from the Undercroft, but close enough to be dangerous. He recalibrates again. First rule changes. Morrow is no longer merely a companion growing from future residue. It may be a surviving interface from the terminal program. Second rule changes. The bronze token is not access identification. It is probably a control key. Third rule changes. The 7-bell symbol is not a faction emblem. It is a machine diagram, 7 branches, 1 hollow center. Convergence. Eiran picks up the black book with tongs, places it inside a stronger containment case, then starts moving, not toward Solvin, not Malin, toward the Undercroft. That is where the old program died. That is where the answers still physically exist. Halfway across the sleeping academy, Morrow stops. Eiran does too. The companion points toward the eastern courtyard. Someone is standing there. Lysa Morcant. At 4 in the morning, barefoot, still wearing sleep clothes beneath an academy coat. She looks completely awake. That is the problem. Lysa is staring at a blank stone wall. Her right hand is raised. Fingers tracing something invisible. Eiran approaches slowly. Lysa. No response. Morrow moves closer. Silver residue surrounds her. More than Malin. More than the infiltrators. Far more. The shadow companion recoils. Eiran's interface activates without permission. Living target confirmed. Terminal record accessible. Then the temporal distance appears. 3 hours. Eiran stops. Lysa dies in 3 hours. He did not choose to look. The system simply opened. That has never happened before. Lysa finally speaks. 7 doors. Her voice is flat. Eiran looks at the wall. There are no doors. Lysa. 6 are closed. She traces another invisible shape. 1 is looking back. Morrow's silver collar cracks again. Eiran grabs Lysa's wrist. Her skin is freezing. A terminal fragment manifests instantly. No command, no consent. A future version of Lysa appears beside her. Dead, but not frightened. Her future soul is standing upright, looking directly at Eiran. That has never happened. Every terminal soul behaves like a preserved final moment. This one is aware of the present. The dead Lysa raises one finger to her lips, then points behind Eiran. Our necromancer turns. Nothing. He looks back. The future soul has moved closer. Impossible. Its mouth opens. One sentence comes out. Actual sound. Do not let them ring the 7th bell. Then the manifestation tears apart. Present Lysa collapses. Eiran catches her. Morrow catches the residue. The system begins recalculating. Terminal distance 3 hours. Then 2 hours. 59 minutes. No divergence. The death remains. That means whatever kills Lysa is already extremely stable. An anchored future. Eiran lifts her, carries her toward the medical wing for exactly 4 steps, then stops. Wrong move. If the terminal future is anchored to the Institute, taking her where everyone expects may simply feed the path. He turns around, changes direction. Private training wing. Black 4 access. Controlled room. Few witnesses. No connection to the public medical network. Recalibration first. Protocol second. Eiran places Lysa inside an isolated barrier chamber. Locks the door. Morrow stands guard beside her. Then our necromancer does something he has never done deliberately. He summons Lysa's future soul again. Full manifestation. The corpse appears. Same academy coat. Same pale face. No visible wound. This time Eiran does not focus on the death. He focuses on differences. Floor material, airflow, reflections, sound. The future Lysa stands in a white chamber. Silver rain on the ground. A black ring around one wrist. Behind her 7 bells. The 7th is cracked. Good. Environment, not cause. He cancels. Lysa does not wake. Morrow holds the residue. Eiran summons another possible death. Different branch. The skill resists. Mana pressure spikes. Then another Lysa appears. Same time. Different injury. Blood across the chest. Same room. Same bells. Another branch. Broken neck. Same room. Another. Burn marks. Same room. Same bells. 5 possible deaths. 5 different causes. 1 fixed location. There. The anchor is not what kills her. It is where she dies. That means preventing the weapon is useless. Prevent the location. Our necromancer stops summoning. He picks Lysa up again. Leaves the training wing. Heads for the academy gate. Simple. Physical. No grand magic. If the future insists she dies inside the White Undercroft, then she does not go near the White Undercroft. At the front gate, every ward turns red. The doors lock. Director Solvin is waiting outside. Not surprised. That is immediately suspicious. Malin stands beside him. Even more suspicious. What happened? Solvin asks. Eiran looks at Lysa. Then at the director. She dies in less than 3 hours. Malin goes pale. Solvin does not. He looks toward the central tower. Then it has started. Wrong answer. Completely wrong answer. Eiran's gaze hardens. You expected this. Solvin reaches into his coat, pulls out a black ring. Same design as the infiltrator's equipment. 7 marks around the inside. The director places it on the ground instead of wearing it. I expected a terminal convergence. Not a confession. Not yet. Malin looks at him sharply. You said the old cycle was impossible. It was supposed to be. Eiran ignores the argument. He looks at Morrow. The companion is staring at Solvin's ring, silver collar glowing. Opposites again. Solvin sees none of that. The directorate built Veyl here because this site contained the convergence chamber, he says. Not a monologue. Not explanation for explanation's sake. He is opening the gate controls while speaking. Physical action. Useful information. The academy was supposed to keep people away from it. Eiran looks at 600 students sleeping around them. That plan has weaknesses. Solvin almost laughs. No time. The outer gate finally opens. Eiran steps through carrying Lysa. Then every bell in Veyl Institute rings once, not the alarm bells. The hidden ones. 7 notes travel upward through the ground. Lysa wakes in Eiran's arms. Her eyes open, black, only for a second. Then normal again. Morrow turns toward the academy. Silver threads erupt from the ground. Hundreds, thousands, every thread belongs to a living person inside Veyl. All of them pull toward the same underground point, the convergence chamber. Eiran's interface floods with terminal notifications. Too many to read. Projected deaths, dozens, hundreds, different causes, same location. White stone, silver rain, 7 bells. The white undercroft is not waiting for people to enter. It is pulling their possible deaths toward itself. That is why the same architecture appears across unrelated futures. That is why the directorate studied terminal necromancers. That is why black rings suppress possibilities. And that is why Bram dies here 11 years from now, even if the place supposedly remains sealed. The machine is not predicting a massacre. It is manufacturing one future strongly enough that reality begins preferring it. Eiran lowers Lysa onto the grass outside the gate. He turns toward the institute. The entire model changes again. He no longer needs to discover who will die. He needs to stop one location from becoming the answer to everyone's death. Morrow reaches toward the sea of silver threads. Its repaired collar brightens. A new capability flickers at the edge of Eiran's system. Not unlocked. Not yet. Provisional concept detected terminal anchor isolation. One future. One fixed element. Separate the anchor from the death. There. The tool for later. Not ready, but real. Eiran takes 7 pieces of bone chalk from his coat, breaks each one in half, places the 14 fragments into separate pockets, then hands the bronze token to Morrow. For the first time, the shadow companion can hold it without flickering. Its silver collar turns bright white. Eiran points toward the academy. Find the fixed thread. Morrow looks at the thousands of possible deaths, then walks forward. Not crawling, not hiding, walking. Its first truly human movement. Eiran follows. Across the city, inside an abandoned continuity affairs station beneath an old courthouse, 3 people watch the same 7-bell pattern ignite across a black glass wall. The masked infiltrator from the archive stands among them. Alive, still terrified. A woman wearing a black ring around every finger studies Veyl's terminal readings. She does not smile. She does not need to. On the table before her sits an old personnel file. Terminal Subject 8. No photograph. No name. Only one current identifier. Eiran Vale. The woman closes the file, then moves the first black piece across a map of the institute. Back at Veyl, Eiran reaches the sealed entrance beneath the challenge hall. Morrow stands beside him holding the bronze token. Lysa remains safely outside the academy perimeter under Malin's protection. Solvin begins evacuating the dormitories. The 7th bell rings again. A crack appears in the white stone door. Eiran kneels, draws the first half of a 7-point terminal isolation pattern around the threshold. Not enough to activate. Not yet. Just the beginning of something he now understands he will need to finish. Then our necromancer opens the door and walks into the machine that created the class the world thought belonged only to him. The first thing Eiran notices inside the white undercroft is that the bells are no longer silent. They are breathing, not ringing. Breathing. A low metallic vibration expands through the white corridors every few seconds, almost like the entire buried structure has developed lungs. Morrow walks ahead with the bronze token held between both hands. The shadow companion does not look small anymore, still unfinished. Still faceless, but its proportions are almost human now. The silver collar around its neck glows with every pulse from the undercroft. Eiran follows the threads, thousands of them. Every living person inside Veyl has a terminal filament stretching downward through the stone. Most are faint, some flicker. A few burn bright enough to hurt his eyes. all of them converge deeper beneath the academy. That is the real problem. Not a monster, not a curse, a preference. The machine is teaching reality to prefer one ending. Eiran hates systems that pretend choice still exists after quietly removing every alternative. The corridor ahead splits into 7 branches. Naturally, each passage carries a different bell mark. 1 through 7. Morrow stops, raises one hand. Silver residue spreads from its fingers. 6 passages answer. The 7th does not. That means the silence is intentional. Eiran points toward it. They go there. See, the Undercroft does not behave like a dungeon. No monsters rush them, no traps explode. No ancient guardians demand blood. That would be much easier. Instead, the structure keeps showing Eiran things it wants him to notice. Names carved into white stone, dates, old research numbers, fragments of terminal charts. Subject 1, Subject 3, Subject 5. Most are crossed out. Some end with one word. Diverged. Others end with another. Collapsed. Subject 7 has no final mark. The line simply stops. Then comes Subject 8. Blank. No name, no date. Only a hollow circle waiting beneath 7 cuts. Eiran keeps walking. Morrow slows. The bronze token begins warming in its hands. A message forms across Eiran's vision, local terminal density increasing. Then another. Observer effect elevated. Then a third. Probability branches narrowing. That one is extremely bad. The machine is not merely pulling future deaths toward itself anymore. It is compressing alternatives. Eiran looks at his own hands. Still steady. Good. Panic wastes information. Ahead, the corridor opens into a chamber full of suspended black rings. Hundreds. Different sizes. Wrist. Neck. Ankle. Even full body restraints. Some are broken. Some are scorched. All carry the 7-mark pattern. Morrow recoils immediately. Its silver collar dims, so the old researchers built an entire room dedicated to suppressing terminal possibilities. Not killing necromancers, controlling what they could see. That distinction matters. Eiran steps closer to the nearest ring. The interface reacts. Terminal suppression device. Function partially recognized. Branch reduction. Observer isolation. Convergence stabilization. There it is. Branch reduction. Black rings do not merely interfere with his class. They remove available futures. The infiltrators were wearing devices designed to make themselves harder to read by narrowing their terminal branches. A crude form of armor against him. Morrow points toward one ring lying shattered on the floor. Silver residue leaks from it. Recent. Eiran kneels, touches nothing. Looks closer. A strip of dark fabric is caught beneath the broken metal. Same weave as the infiltrator's coats. So someone has been here recently. Very recently. The Directorate did not simply survive outside Veyl. It has access inside the Undercroft. Excellent. The enemy has home field advantage. Exactly what nobody wants. Morrow reaches toward the broken ring. Eiran stops it. Not yet. They know overload can damage the companion, and whatever happens next will be worse than the dormitory experiment. Preparation first. He takes bone chalk from his coat, draws 3 incomplete isolation arcs around the doorway. No activation, just marks. 1 at ankle height, 1 at chest level, 1 across the floor. Future geometry. He is not building a trap yet. He is teaching himself where the lines will need to connect later. Chekhov would be pleased. Probably. A tremor runs through the chamber. 1 hanging ring cracks. Then another. Morrow turns. Silver threads pour through the walls. More than before. Eiran's interface flashes names. Students. Faculty. Wardens. Every terminal distance is shrinking. Not uniformly. That is important. One student goes from 50 years to 49. Another from 30 years to 12. A professor drops from 60 years to 3 days. The machine is not accelerating time. It is selecting more convenient deaths. The convergence is getting greedy. Then Bram Oral's name appears. 11 years becomes 7 minutes. Eiran's expression changes. That is the warning. Bram is nowhere near the Undercroft. He is inside the medical wing. Yet his death just moved forward by more than a decade. Which means location is no longer enough. The machine is beginning to pull the architecture outward through probability itself. That is significantly worse. Eiran turns back. Up. Morrow immediately follows. No argument. Very efficient companion. They climb toward the challenge hall. Halfway there, the first scream reaches them. Not through the corridor. Through the system. A student's terminal record collapses. Another. Another. Death branches locking. The bells breathe faster. Eiran starts running. That is rare enough to count as a crisis. He bursts into the challenge hall. Chaos. The academy is evacuating. Wardens push students toward the outer gates. Faculty maintain barriers around the sealed Undercroft entrances. Director Solvin stands in the middle of the arena, with both hands raised. Spatial walls cover the floor. Malin returns through the eastern doors, alone. Eiran looks past her. Lysa? Outside the perimeter. Good. One variable removed. Then Bram screams from the western corridor. Of course. Two medics drag him into the hall. He is conscious. Barely. His eyes stay locked on the floor. It moved. Eiran approaches. What moved? My death. That is an impressive sentence from a man who almost collapsed when he first saw it. Progress comes in strange forms. Bram grabs Eiran's sleeve. The room changed. How? No white door. Eiran stops. That matters. The bells? Still there. The black hand? Bram shakes his head. No hand. So the death branch has changed. Good. Not good enough. The fixed element is still the bells. Eiran looks toward Morrow. The companion already understands. It begins separating Bram's terminal threads. 1, 2, 5, 9. Different future deaths bloom briefly around him. Bram flinches at every one. Eiran does not show the full visions. Only fragments. Enough to compare. Broken neck. Crushed ribs. Blood loss. Burns. Different causes. Different positions. Same sound. 7 bells. There. The auditory element is now stronger than location. The convergence anchor has migrated. Clever. The machine adapts when one route becomes harder. That is the first time Eiran actually feels impressed, annoyed. But impressed. Solvin approaches. How bad? Worse. Useful. No. Solvin accepts that. Then the 7th hidden bell rings. Every window in the challenge hall shatters inward. Students scream. Barrier wards flare. One instructor collapses. Not injured. His future soul appears beside him. Without Eiran summoning it, that changes the entire room. The translucent figure is old, bleeding from the mouth. Its head turns toward the living instructor. Then vanishes. Another appears beside a student. Then another. Then 6. Then 20. Future souls begin manifesting across Veyl Institute. Uncontrolled. Uncalled. People see themselves dying. Panic spreads instantly. Some freeze. Some run. One student attacks his own terminal projection. His sword passes through it. The future version simply watches. Brutal. Eiran does not summon a single thing. Yet everyone looks at him. Naturally. Not mine, he says. Malin hears him. Believes him immediately. Good. Solvin does too. Also good. The rest of the academy? Less good. Someone screams that Veyl has lost control. Another says he is killing everyone. A third rumor probably already claims he personally invented death. The usual. Eiran ignores it. He studies the manifestations. Most are unstable, short, incomplete, exactly like his early summons. The machine is copying his class badly, or imitating the interface. That means the terminal program is activating independently. Subject 8 is no longer necessary. Or maybe Subject 8 is the trigger. That possibility is uglier. Morrow suddenly doubles over. Its silver collar flashes. A full future soul appears behind it, not human. Morrow, a future version of the companion, taller, complete, humanoid, its face still blank. But behind its head floats a ring of 7 silver fractures. One arm holds dozens of terminal threads. The other grips something shaped like a black bell. Eiran stares. Morrow stares too. For the first time, the companion sees its own future. The future Morrow raises one hand, points at the arena floor, then disappears. The present companion drops to one knee. Its silver collar cracks. Evolution pending. The system warning arrives immediately. Auxiliary terminal entity approaching threshold. Stabilization incomplete. External anchor required. There it is. Foreshadow. Not ready yet. Good. Power arriving early is usually power arriving wrong. Eiran pulls Morrow upright. Later. The shadow companion nods. First clear nod. Another small evolution. Malin turns toward the arena floor. What did it show? Eiran looks at her. She cannot see Morrow. Down. Fairly accurate. Solvin understands first. The central chamber. Yes. Can you isolate it? Not yet. That answer bothers everyone. Good. Because it should. Eiran takes out the crack detection crystal, then 14 pieces of bone chalk. Then the bronze token. Places all 3 on the arena floor, the setup from earlier. Finally becoming useful. He starts drawing. Not a summoning circle. A terminal isolation lattice. 7 incomplete arcs, each anchored to a different environmental marker. Sound, sight, position, temperature, contact, spatial orientation, observer intent. Every category he has learned to extract from terminal fragments. The idea is simple, which means execution will be horrible. If a death path is built from several fixed elements, isolating only the target is useless. So isolate the elements. Force the future to lose shared structure. Make every death branch disagree. The machine wants convergence. Eiran will manufacture contradiction. Morrow places both hands on the chalk lines. Silver energy flows outward. The first arc lights, then the second. The third fails. Eiran adjusts the geometry, moves one chalk fragment by exactly a finger width. Third arc activates. Good. The system responds. Provisional terminal anchor isolation recognized. Incomplete. Efficiency 12%. Pathetic. Enough to test. Eiran chooses the nearest uncontrolled future soul. A first-year mage standing beside her own dead projection. The girl is crying. Her terminal form shows severe burns. Eiran targets the fixed element. Temperature. Not soul. Not death. Just terminal heat. He pulls. The future projection flickers. Morrow grabs the residue. The isolation lattice redirects it. The burn marks vanish. The future soul changes. Now the girl dies old. In bed, 60 years later, the projection disappears. The living student collapses from relief. Everyone around them goes silent. That is the first public proof. Not that Eiran can show death, that everyone already knows. He can alter which death answers. Much worse, much more valuable. Solvin whispers one word. Again, Eiran does. Second student, different fixed element. Sound, 7 bells. He isolates it. The terminal projection changes. Third, position. Fourth, observer intent. Each test costs more mana. Morrow flickers harder, but the uncontrolled manifestations begin collapsing. Not because the machine stops, because Eiran is feeding it disagreement. The challenge hall becomes a battlefield without a single physical strike. Dozens of living people, dozens of possible deaths. One necromancer standing in the middle deciding which future gets denied access to the present. Honestly, this is where the entire class stops looking like necromancy and starts looking like administrative control over mortality. Terrifying paperwork. The 7th bell rings again. The lattice cracks. All 7 arcs flash black. Morrow is thrown backward. Eiran catches it. The central floor bursts open. A column of silver light punches through the arena. Inside the beam hangs a figure. Human, alive, black coat. 7 rings, one on every finger except the thumb. The woman from the abandoned continuity station. She steps onto the arena floor like she owns it. Maybe she thinks she does. Faculty weapons rise. Solvin prepares a spatial prison. Malin moves left. The woman ignores everyone. Looks only at Eiran. Subject 8. There it is. No more pretending. Students hear it. Faculty hear it. Veyl hears it. Eiran does not react. What is your name? The woman smiles slightly. Not villainously. More like someone finally meeting an experiment that survived. Vesaril. Good. Specific enemy. Specific role. No generic Shadow Order nonsense. She raises one hand. The 7 black rings around her fingers ignite. Every uncontrolled future soul in the hall disappears. Instantly. Branch suppression. High level. Very high level. Morrow recoils. Vesa notices the companion. That is worse. Her eyes track it directly. You kept the stabilizer. Eiran's gaze sharpens, so she can see Morrow. Finally, a person who can. That confirms far too much. Vesa steps forward. The Directorate predicted you would enter the program eventually. The Directorate is dissolved, officially. Expected. Still irritating. Solvin attacks. Space collapses around Vesa. She does not move. One black ring cracks. The spatial prison redirects. Not blocked, redirected into a dead future branch. The air folds. Nothing happens. Solvin's face changes. He understands what Eiran has been facing. You cannot overpower someone who removes the future in which your attack succeeds. That is almost unfair. Almost. Vesa looks toward the shattered lattice. Your isolation work is crude. Eiran looks at the black rings. Yours is old. That lands better. One ring is visibly fractured from Solvin's attack. Not invincible. Finite branch suppression. Every denied future costs material stability. Good. Stage 1 already happened. They were overwhelmed. Stage 2 begins. Read, count, measure. Vesa has 7 rings. 1 damaged. Probably 1 branch denial function per ring. Maybe more. She can see Morrow. Calls it stabilizer. Knows subject 8. And entered through the convergence chamber itself. Priority target. But not for today. Not yet. Eiran is still learning. Vesa knows that too. She raises her hand. A terminal fragment appears beside Eiran. His own future hand. Blackened. Holding Morrow's broken silver collar. For the first time, someone else summons his future. The hall goes silent. Eiran looks at the fragment. No psychological collapse. No panic. He studies it. Final sight behind the hand. White chamber. 7 bells. 1 black ring on his wrist. Interesting. Vesa expects fear. She gets analysis. That irritates her. Good. The fragment disappears. Do you understand now? She asks. Yes. That surprises her. You die if you continue. Everyone does. Weak line. Too philosophical. Eiran dislikes it immediately. So he adds something specific. But apparently I do it wearing your equipment. Much better. Vesa's expression changes. Tiny. There. She did not mean to reveal that. Morrow notices too. The companion straightens. Its cracked collar begins glowing. Eiran points at Vesa's hand. Not summoning, not attacking. Just indicating the ring. You lose those eventually. Vesa closes her fingers. A defensive reaction. Perfect. The fear moves, not to death. To losing control of the branches. Now Eiran knows what she values. The seventh bell gives one final pulse. Vesa looks downward, then back at Eiran. This cycle closes in 13 days. Specific deadline. Specific pressure. Excellent. If the convergence remains incomplete, everyone tied to Veyl keeps their independent terminal branches. She pauses. If it completes, they share one. That is the entire horror in one sentence. 600 people, one future. One death architecture. The machine does not kill them immediately. It makes escape statistically impossible. Vesa turns toward the silver column. Solvin moves again. Eiran raises one hand. Stop. The director looks furious. Still stops. Good. Killing Vesa now is unlikely. Learning from her departure is useful. The woman steps into the light. Before disappearing, she looks at Morrow. Do not let the stabilizer finish forming before the seventh bell accepts him. That sounds like a warning. Or manipulation. Probably both. Then she is gone. The silver column collapses. The arena floor seals. Silence follows. Not peaceful. Heavy. 13 days. The entire academy now has a countdown. Solvin turns toward Eiran. What does she mean by accepts you? I do not know. True. Malin looks at Morrow's invisible position. At least she knows where Eiran keeps looking now. What about the stabilizer? Eiran crouches beside the shadow companion. The silver collar is cracked. But underneath the fracture, something new is forming. A second ring. Thin, incomplete, evolution preparation. Morrow raises both hands. 7 silver threads appear, one from each finger except the thumbs. Mirroring Vesa. Opposite polarity. Black suppression. Silver preservation. There is the future matchup. Not power versus power. Deletion versus possibility. Eiran stands. He looks around the challenge hall. Students terrified. Faculty exhausted. Solvin angry. Malin recalculating. Bram sitting against the wall, somehow still conscious. Outside, hundreds of terminal branches are unstable. And somewhere beneath them, the convergence chamber is preparing the final cycle. The enemy has finally made its biggest move. Good. That means the board is visible. Eiran picks up the broken pieces of the isolation lattice. Does not throw them away. He sorts them. Sound marker. Sight marker. Position marker. Temperature marker. Every failed arc goes into a separate pocket. Then he gives Solvin one instruction. Evacuate everyone whose terminal branch already contains the 7 bells. How many? Eiran looks at Morrow. The companion spreads both hands. 23 threads ignite. 23. Malin asks the obvious question. And everyone else? Eiran looks toward the sealed Undercroft door. They stay unpredictable. No speech. No dramatic promise. Just procedure. That is how Eiran fights. He walks to the challenge hall wall, pulls down the academy evacuation map, spreads it across the broken arena floor, then begins marking 7 separate routes that never cross the same underground convergence line. 13 days remain. The directorate thinks it is closing a cycle. Eiran starts dismantling the future one fixed element at a time. 13 days sounds generous. It is not. By the end of the first day, 6 more people inside Veyl develop 7 bell terminal branches. By the second, the number becomes 41. By the third, even students who have never stepped inside the challenge hall begin dreaming about white corridors they have never seen. The directorate is not waiting. Neither is Eiran. He turns Veyl Institute into the strangest evacuation experiment in its history. No grand announcement, no panic-inducing speech, just routes. Schedules, barriers. People move from one dormitory to another based on which death elements appear in their terminal fragments. Anyone whose future contains white stone is relocated to the western campus. Anyone hearing bells sleeps in temporary tents outside the main walls. Anyone whose death includes silver rain is forbidden from entering underground structures. The faculty hates the system. Mostly because it works. 3 days pass. Terminal convergence slows. Not stops, slows. That is enough to prove the principle. The machine needs repeated elements, shared places, shared sounds, shared routes. So Eiran keeps removing them, one variable at a time. The setup from his first crude chalk measurements beneath the undercroft finally becomes something useful. Those tiny marks, distances, angles, residue durations, the stupid little lines everyone ignored. Now they become the foundation of an academy-wide terminal isolation network. Talk about an embarrassing return on investment. Solvin gives Eiran access to Veyl's barrier engineers. Malin provides combat wardens. Lysa, recovered and extremely annoyed about being treated like a fragile artifact, takes over the spatial barrier calculations. That last part matters, because Lysa is terrifyingly good at barriers, better than her rank suggests. Eiran notices immediately. She does not draw barriers as walls, she draws them as choices. 3 possible routes become 2, 2 become 1 becomes closed. The similarity to Black Ring suppression is uncomfortable. Eiran says nothing yet. Morrow notices too. The Shadow Companion watches Lysa work with its head tilted. No hostility, only recognition. That goes into the growing pile of problems scheduled for later. See, Eiran's first isolation lattice worked because it forced terminal elements to disagree. Now he scales the same idea across Veyl. 7 primary nodes, each linked to different environmental conditions, different materials, different temperatures, different sounds, different routes. If the convergence wants one shared future, Eiran gives it 7 incompatible presents. It is almost insulting. The 7th day begins with clear skies. That is when the Directorate attacks. Of course it is. At noon, every black ring hidden beneath the Academy activates simultaneously. Not 7, hundreds. Buried in walls, under staircases, inside foundation supports. Even embedded beneath old classroom floors. The entire school has been seeded for decades. Solvin sees the activation pattern from the central tower. His face becomes completely still. They were always here. Eiran looks at the map. Yes, no point pretending surprise. The reveal from the Black Book finally becomes practical. The Directorate did not merely study terminal necromancers. It built Veyl around the old convergence machine. Every modern renovation unknowingly preserved pieces of the original architecture. White foundation stabilization, black ring branch suppression, silver channels beneath the floors. The Academy is not sitting on top of the machine. The Academy is part of it. That changes the plan. Again, Eiran grabs the evacuation map, turns it over, starts drawing. Malin watches. What? We stop evacuating. Solvin stares at him. That is the opposite of what we have been doing. Yes. Why? Eiran taps the map. Because they built the suppression network around movement. The Director looks closer. There. Every black ring activates along the exact routes Eiran has been using to separate terminal branches. The Directorate has been watching, learning, waiting for enough people to occupy predictable isolation zones. The evacuation plan has become the trap, not accidentally, deliberately. That is the payoff. The enemy believed Eiran would keep using the same routes because the routes worked. Reasonable. Predictable. Fatal. Fortunately, Eiran expected that people watching the future would eventually become dependent on expectation. That is why the original route plan was never the real plan. He reaches beneath the evacuation table, pulls out 7 bundles of bone chalk, already marked, already divided, already assigned to completely different corridors. Malin looks at him. You prepared alternatives. On day 1, Lysa lets out a long breath. You could have told us. No. Why? Then you would have behaved differently. She opens her mouth. Stops. Annoyingly valid. Eiran takes the first bundle, hands the others to Lysa and 6 barrier engineers. These routes have never been used. Solvin understands. No terminal repetition. Exactly. The Directorate built its ambush around observed behavior, so the winning move is brutally simple. Become inconsistent. Sirens erupt. Black rings ignite throughout Veyl. Students scream as corridors lock. Future souls begin appearing again. Not dozens this time. Hundreds. Every manifestation points toward one of the isolation zones. The Directorate has successfully concentrated the Academy's death branches. Almost. Eiran changes the routes. Everything breaks, not physically, probability. The first terminal souls flicker, some turn, others vanish. Black rings start cracking beneath the floors. Vesaril's plan has one ugly weakness. Suppression works by removing unwanted futures. But if the present suddenly produces too many new branches, the rings have to delete all of them. That costs stability, a lot of it. The first black ring bursts beneath the eastern dormitory, then another, then 20. The Academy shakes. Lysa activates the first alternate barrier route. Students flood through a maintenance corridor nobody has used in years. Malin leads another group across the outdoor dueling fields. Solvin physically tears open a sealed faculty passage. Every movement creates fresh terminal branches. Every branch forces the suppression network to spend itself. The Directorate's beautiful machine starts eating its own armor. Honestly, this is exactly the kind of revenge Eiran appreciates, not emotional, mechanical. Somewhere beneath the academy, the seventh bell rings. The floor cracks. White stone rises through the courtyard. The convergence chamber is coming up, not opening, coming up. Entire sections of the undercroft phase through Veyl's foundations as if the building is being rewritten around them. Students find white corridors appearing inside classrooms. Silver rain falls beneath indoor ceilings. Black ring doors replace ordinary stairwells. The future architecture is forcing itself into the present. There, the pivot. The white undercroft no longer waits beneath Veyl. It starts becoming Veyl. Morrow steps out of Eiran's shadow, fully visible, not to everyone. Not yet, but enough people see something. A tall, dark figure with a silver collar and both hands wrapped in terminal threads. Students recoil. Malin does not. Lysa stares. You have had that thing this entire time? Eiran keeps walking. Yes. You seriously never mentioned it? Yes. Unbelievable. Fair. Morrow raises both hands. 7 silver threads become 70. Then more. Every unstable terminal branch around the courtyard starts pulling toward the companion, not absorbed. Sorted. Morrow has learned from the isolation lattice. It separates futures by fixed element. Bell deaths to one hand. Whitestone deaths to another. Silver rain deaths across its shoulders. Black ring deaths around the collar. The shadow companion is becoming a living terminal processor, not evolved. Not completely, but close. The system flashes a warning. Auxiliary entity load approaching threshold. Evolution conditions partially satisfied. External anchor still required. Not yet. Good. Eiran needs Morrow functional. Not dramatic. A white corridor erupts across the courtyard. Vesa Rill walks out. Behind her come 11 Directorate operatives. Everyone wears black rings, some on fingers, some on wrists. One has a full collar. No generic assassins. These are continuity executors, the people responsible for pruning terminal branches that threaten convergence. Their job is not killing targets. Their job is making sure only approved futures survive. That is somehow worse. Vesa surveys the shattered black ring network. Her expression stays calm, clever. Eiran looks at the cracked rings beneath her feet. Old, she almost smiles. You really like that word. It keeps being accurate. The first executor attacks. A spear of compressed light crosses the courtyard. Malin intercepts. Barely. The impact throws her through a stone railing. Stage 1. The enemy comes prepared. Black rings suppress successful counterattacks before they happen. Barrier spells fail. Spatial restraints collapse. Weapons miss by impossible margins. Every executor moves like fortune itself is helping, because technically, it is. Lysa launches 3 barrier blades. All 3 bend away. Solvin folds space. The fold opens 1 foot too far left. The Directorate does not dodge. It removes the futures where it gets hit. Painfully unfair, exactly as expected. Eiran watches. Counts. Every successful branch deletion cracks a black ring slightly. There. Still finite. Still expensive. The executors are not invincible. They are spending equipment to look invincible. Stage 2. Read. Morrow reaches toward their terminal threads. Vesa snaps 2 fingers. Black suppression slams into the companion. Morrow staggers. Its silver collar fractures. Eiran's vision floods with warnings. Good. Now he knows the interaction rate. 1 black ring pulse suppresses approximately 5 open branches around Morrow. So he needs more than 5. Much more. He looks toward the hundreds of students evacuating through alternate routes. Hundreds of lives. Hundreds of choices. Hundreds of unstable terminal possibilities. There is the ammunition. Eiran raises 1 hand. No soul appears. Instead, he activates the isolation nodes. All 7. Every chalk route across Veyl ignites. Students turn left, right, back, up, down. Different groups split deliberately. Barrier engineers open doors at random intervals. Wardens exchange positions. Lysa changes corridor shapes every few seconds. The academy becomes unpredictable on purpose. Terminal branches multiply. 10. 100. 1,000. The Directorate's rings start screaming. Literally. High metallic shrieks fill the courtyard. The first executor loses 3 rings at once. Malin's next strike lands. Brutally. He flies through a white wall. Another tries to suppress the future where Solvin catches him. Too many alternatives exist. The black ring cracks. Space closes around his legs. He hits the ground. The entire fight changes. Not because Eiran becomes stronger, because the enemy becomes honest. Without perfect branch suppression, they are simply powerful people wearing breakable equipment. That is much easier. Vesa looks at him, finally annoyed. You are weaponizing uncertainty. Eiran looks around at the chaos. Yes. She raises all 7 ringed fingers. The courtyard darkens. Every nearby terminal branch collapses except one. One future soul appears. Eiran's. Full manifestation. Older. Bleeding. Silver collar around his neck. Black ring on one wrist. Morrow shattered at his feet. The entire academy sees it. Silence. Vessa's strongest move. Not an attack. A statement. One approved future. One death. One ending. Students freeze. Faculty stare. Even Lysa looks shaken. Eiran studies his own corpse, then notices the detail. The right shoe is clean. Current Eiran's right shoe is covered in white chalk dust. Small. Stupid. Perfect. The future is already wrong. He kicks the chalk bag at his feet. Powder explodes across both shoes. His future soul flickers. The clean shoe becomes dirty. Then the wound changes. Vessa's expression shifts. Eiran takes one step left. Morrow follows. The future corpse changes position. One step right, another revision. He picks up a broken piece of black ring, places it in his pocket. Future wrist changes. The full terminal manifestation destabilizes. Students see it. Everyone sees it. The terrifying death Vessa presents as inevitable cannot stop changing because Eiran keeps altering tiny variables. Our necromancer looks at his future corpse, then at Vessa. You pick too early. That lands. Hard. Morrow reaches up, grabs the terminal soul by its silver thread. For the first time, the companion does not merely hold residue. It pulls an entire future manifestation away from its selected branch. Vessa's 7 rings crack simultaneously. The corpse distorts, splits. 1 Eiran becomes 3. 3 become 9. Different wounds. Different ages, different rooms, different endings. The audience recoils. Vessa does too. There. Her fear, not death, multiplicity. A world she cannot reduce. Stage 3, Kaihua. Eiran points at the directorate. Show them alternatives. Morrow opens both hands. Every executor sees themselves die. Not once, many times. One sees execution. Another old age. One dies protecting Vessa. Another dies betraying her. One survives the convergence but loses every ring. Another retires decades later with grandchildren. The psychological effect is completely different from Bram's. Bram collapsed because he believed he saw certainty. The executors collapse because they see uncertainty. They built their entire lives around pruning futures. Now Morrow forces them to confront the branches they spent years denying. One tears off his own black collar. Another throws away 2 rings. A third simply stops fighting. Vessa remains standing. Of course, her equipment is stronger, her control is better. Her pride is worse. She raises her hand toward Morrow. Eiran has been waiting for that. The companion's silver collar glows. Underneath it, the second ring finally becomes visible, not complete. Preparation, a future structure waiting to form. Morrow catches Vessa's suppression pulse with both hands. Does not stop it. Splits it. 7 black branches become 70 silver ones. The system notification hits like a blade. Auxiliary evolution threshold reached. Completion deferred. External anchor required. Exactly as expected. Part 9. Not now. But almost. Vessa sees the second collar ring. Her face changes. Actual fear this time. That should not exist. Finally, a useful sentence. Eiran remembers the black book. Subject 4. Subject 5. Subject 7. Every old terminal necromancer used silver stabilization equipment. Morrow is growing its own, which means the companion is not just a leftover interface. It is rebuilding the missing half of the terminal program organically, the part the directorate lost, the part they need Eiran for. Reveal becomes leverage. Eiran looks directly at Vessa. You cannot complete convergence without the stabilizer. Silence. Solvin hears it. Malin hears it. Lysa hears it. And Vessa's expression confirms everything. There, the directorate does not want Eiran dead. They need Morrow mature. They need Subject 8 alive long enough to finish the machine. Every attack so far has been containment. Pressure, guidance, manipulation. Not assassination. The enemy's biggest secret becomes public in 1 second. Vessa steps backward. Bad decision, Eiran notices. So does everyone else. Malin attacks. This time Vessa has to spend 3 black rings to escape. Crack, crack, crack. Only 4 remain intact. Solvin closes the white corridor behind her. Lysa throws a barrier across the return path. The directorate operatives retreat. Not routed, not destroyed, but exposed. That matters more. Stage 4 arrives across the entire academy. The convergence architecture begins collapsing out of the present. White corridors retreat through walls. Silver rain evaporates. Black ring seals shatter. Future souls vanish one after another. Terminal distances recalculate. Bram's 7 minutes jumps back to 11 years. Then 12. Lysa's 3-hour record disappears entirely. Malin's 8-month death shifts beyond readable range. Hundreds of Veyl students regain independent terminal branches. Not safe forever, just theirs again. That is enough. For today, Vesa reaches the last remaining white doorway. She looks back at Eiran. 4 intact rings. 1 cracked. 2 gone. You delayed it. Good. You did not stop it. Also good. That confuses her. Eiran prefers it that way. The directorate wanted a Finnish stabilizer. Now they know Morrow is close. They will come again. Predictably. With more equipment, more records, more answers. Exactly what Eiran needs. Vesa understands too late. You are baiting us. Our necromancer does not smile. He simply picks up one of her broken black rings from the ground, places it beside Morrow's silver thread. Now you understand. Vesa disappears through the doorway. Solvin seals it. The courtyard goes quiet. Nobody cheers. Too exhausted. Too shaken. Too aware of what just happened. But everyone is looking at Eiran differently. Not like the Academy's weakest caster. Not like a freak who shows people death. Not even like a necromancer. Like the person who just prevented 600 futures from becoming one. Morrow stands beside him. Visible now to far more people than before. Its second silver ring flickers beneath the first. Incomplete. Waiting. Lysa approaches slowly. She looks at the companion. Then at Eiran. You seriously called that thing Morrow? Yes. She stares. That is terrible. Morrow turns toward her. Then impossibly gives a small offended nod. Lysa points at it. It agrees with me. Eiran looks at the shadow. Traitor. The companion tilts its head. For one brief second, the courtyard almost feels normal. Almost. Then Solvin brings Eiran a recovered directorate case. Inside sits one object, a black bell, small enough to hold in one hand. Exactly like the one future Morrow carried in its evolved form. There it is. The external anchor. Not activated, not understood. But finally present. Eiran takes the bell. Morrow's silver collar responds instantly. The second ring brightens. Evolution preparation confirmed. He closes the case. Not today. Power used before understanding is just another kind of trap. Instead, Eiran walks toward the damaged challenge hall. Students move aside. Faculty let him pass. Malin follows. Lysa too. Morrow walks beside him openly, no longer hiding inside his shadow. At the arena floor, Eiran kneels. He redraws the 7-point isolation lattice from scratch. Cleaner this time. More precise. Then he places the recovered black bell at the center without activating it. The directorate has 13 days. Now fewer. Eiran has their equipment, their dependency, their failed ambush, and the first component needed to finish Morrow. For the first time, the people trying to control the future are the ones forced to guess what happens next. The black bell does absolutely nothing for 6 hours. That is somehow more concerning than if it had exploded. Eiran places it at the center of the rebuilt isolation lattice. No reaction. Moves it 1 inch left. Nothing. Rotates it. Nothing. Feeds mana into it. Still nothing. Morrow sits cross-legged on the opposite side of the arena floor, watching the process with the increasingly judgmental posture of something that only recently learned how to sit. Its second silver ring remains visible beneath the first. Thin. Incomplete. Waiting. Eiran tries another terminal fragment. Final sound. The bell remains silent. Final touch. Nothing. Final orientation. Still dead metal. Lysa eventually walks into the challenge hall carrying 3 cups and a paper bag. You have been staring at that thing since sunset. Eiran does not look up. Yes. That was not admiration. I know. She puts 1 cup beside him. Coffee. Then another beside Malin, who is asleep against the lower spectator railing with one hand still resting on her sword. The examiner wakes instantly. Not gracefully, but instantly. Lysa wisely pretends not to notice. Morrow reaches toward the paper bag. She pulls it away. No. The shadow companion stops, slowly points at itself, then at the bag. You do not eat. Morrow points harder. Eiran finally looks over. What is inside? Cinnamon rolls. Morrow turns toward him. Apparently that settles the argument. Eiran opens the bag, tears off a piece, places it in Morrow's palm. The pastry falls straight through the shadow hand. Morrow looks down. Then at Lysa. Then at Eiran. Lysa folds her arms. I warned it. The companion lowers its head. Quiet little tragedy. Eiran picks up the fallen piece. Eats it. Morrow becomes even more offended. Malin watches all of this with a completely blank expression. I am starting to understand why the directorate lost control of these things. Eiran looks at Morrow. Probably unrelated. The companion nods immediately. Lysa points. See? It knows. For several minutes, nobody talks about convergence. Nobody mentions Vesa. Nobody mentions the fact that an ancient machine beneath their academy is trying to compress hundreds of lives into one terminal future. They just sit on the damaged arena floor eating cheap cinnamon rolls while the isolation lines hum faintly around them. Specific. Ordinary. Necessary. Eiran notices Morrow collecting crumbs it cannot touch. The little behavior goes into memory, not because it is useful, because it is Morrow. That realization arrives quietly. He does not like it. Emotional attachments create variables. Variables create bad planning. Unfortunately, pretending a variable does not exist does not remove it. It only makes the plan worse. So Eiran updates the model. Morrow is no longer equipment. Not entirely. That means preserving the companion matters even if the convergence can be stopped without it. Annoying, but accurate. Lysa notices him staring. What? Nothing. That answer is getting old. Still useful. She sighs. Then reaches toward the black bell. Eiran catches her wrist before she touches it. Fast. Lysa freezes. Malin's hand moves toward her sword automatically. Morrow stands. All three reactions happen in less than a second. Eiran releases Lysa. Do not touch it. You have touched it. With tongs. You literally held it yesterday. After Vesa used it. That makes it safer? No. Lysa looks at the bell. Then at the lattice. What are you actually trying to do? Eiran turns the black object with an iron rod. The bell is small. Hand-sized. No clapper inside. 7 narrow slots run around its base. The Directorate used black rings to remove future branches. Morrow uses silver structures to preserve them. The bell appears in future Morrow's evolved hand, so it cannot simply be another suppression device. Something inside it must bridge the two systems. Make it stop being black. Lysa stares. That is your scientific explanation? For now. She kneels anyway, not touching, just looking. Her eyes track the isolation lattice. 7 arcs, 7 extraction categories, 7 bell slots. Then she notices it. The lines are backwards. Eiran looks at her. Lysa points toward the chalk. These arcs all push outward. Yes. That makes sense if you are isolating terminal elements. Yes. But if the bell is an anchor, she rotates one finger above the center. Then it does not need isolation. Eiran looks down. Morrow leans closer. Lysa continues. It needs convergence. Silence. That word is usually bad. Here, maybe not. Eiran rebuilds the mechanism mentally. The Directorate wants one future for everyone. He wants many futures for everyone. But Morrow's evolved form may need something more precise. Not uncontrolled multiplicity, controlled convergence inside itself. A single stable point capable of holding many branches without deleting them. That is what a stabilizer should do. Not scatter. Contain. Eiran immediately wipes away the outer half of the lattice. Malin looks at him. You are taking advice from a second-year student. She is correct. Lysa smiles. Malin looks toward her. Do not enjoy that too much. Too late. Eiran redraws. This time, the 7 arcs curve inward. Each ends 1 inch short of the black bell. Still no contact. He places 7 terminal fragments around the perimeter. Sight, sound, touch, temperature, orientation, observer intent, location. All things he has already tested. No new ability. No mystery boost. Old tools. New arrangement. Morrow kneels beside the first fragment. Eiran nods. The companion catches its silver residue. 1 thread, then the second, then all 7. Normally Morrow sorts them apart. This time Eiran points toward the bell. Together. Morrow hesitates. That is new. Good. Hesitation means understanding risk. Eiran waits. The companion slowly moves its hands inward. 7 silver threads touch the black bell. Nothing happens. Then Lysa quietly turns the bell. One of the narrow slots aligns with the sight arc. Click. Tiny. Real. Morrow moves the second thread. Another slot. Another click. 7 fragments. 7 slots. Everyone locks into position. The black surface cracks. Not physically, like color breaking. A silver line appears beneath the metal. Morrow's collar flares. The second ring becomes brighter. The system responds immediately. External anchor compatibility confirmed. Integration incomplete. Required condition, stable, simultaneous branch retention. There, mechanism. Specific, difficult. Morrow can currently hold dozens of weak fragments, but not several fully viable futures without sorting them apart. To evolve, it needs to maintain multiple contradictory terminal branches inside one stable anchor at the same time, not destroy them. Not choose, hold. That is the opposite of everything the Directorate does. Eiran understands why Vesa fears it. A finished Morrow would be a living refusal mechanism. If the Directorate says only one future is allowed, Morrow can keep the others alive. The black bell is not a weapon. It is a branch container, or it was meant to become one. Eiran closes the terminal fragments. The bell turns black again. The silver crack disappears. But now they know. That is enough for tonight. Lysa stretches her legs. Please tell me that means everyone gets to sleep. No. She stares at him. Malin stands. He means him. Eiran looks at the examiner. Correct. Also irritating. Malin points toward the exit. Dormitory. 4 hours. You need functioning hands and a brain that can identify whether a bell has killed you. Reasonable. He dislikes reasonable orders, still obeys this one. Before leaving, Eiran places the black bell inside a transparent containment case. Morrow stands beside it. The companion raises 1 finger, then 2, then 7. Eiran understands. Tomorrow, 7 branches, 1 anchor, no deletion. He nods. Morrow follows him out. The next morning, Lysa finds Eiran in a disused barrier classroom. Not the challenge hall, not the undercroft, no black ring infrastructure nearby. Safe enough. 7 wooden practice mannequins stand in a circle. Each carries a tiny piece of crack detection crystal. No living subjects, no psychological damage. Eiran has spent the morning loading each shard with a different terminal fragment from previous controlled demonstrations. Old age, accident, illness, battle, drowning, fire, unknown cause. 7 incompatible terminal endpoints. Morrow stands in the middle with the black bell. Training begins. First attempt, 3 threads, stable. 4th joins. Bell turns silver halfway. 5th enters. Everything collapses. Morrow flies backward. Eiran catches it. Again. 2nd attempt. Different sequence. 4 stable. 5th. 6th. Collapse. Again. No montage. No vague training. Every failure teaches 1 mechanical problem. The branches interfere when 2 share similar observer intent. So Eiran separates those. Another failure reveals location overlap. He changes the shard positions. Another shows terminal sounds resonating accidentally. Lysa adds small barrier walls between the fragments to prevent acoustic cross-linking. Again, 5, 6, 7, for 2 seconds. Then collapse. Morrow's collar fractures. Eiran stops immediately. Not because they failed, because 2 seconds is enough data. He checks the silver ring, repairs it through controlled residue cycling. 1 fragment in, release. 1 fragment in, release. Morrow stabilizes. Then Eiran notices something. The companion's 2nd ring is not cracking randomly. Every fracture appears opposite 1 specific terminal category, observer intent. The future is collapsing because Morrow is trying to hold what 7 different people expect will happen. That is the poison. Expectation. The Directorate's entire system is built on reducing expectation to 1 approved outcome. Eiran's class is biased by observer intent. Vesa used that against him when she summoned the future corpse she wanted him to fear. So the final stabilization problem is obvious. Morrow cannot merely hold 7 futures. It has to hold them without believing anyone deserves priority. Neutral observer state. Hard for humans. Maybe possible for something like Morrow. Eiran changes the exercise. He covers the mannequins. No visible context. Removes labels. Randomizes positions. Lysa rotates the barrier chamber so even Eiran cannot know which shard contains which terminal event. Then they begin again. Morrow reaches outward. 1 thread. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. No one knows which is which. No expectations. The bell turns silver, fully. For exactly 11 seconds. Morrow's 2nd ring closes almost completely. Then the entire thing goes dark. The companion collapses. Eiran catches it before the floor does. The system message arrives. Evolution preparation complete. Final integration available under terminal crisis conditions. Not now. Part of Eiran hates that requirement. Another part understands it. The system is not withholding arbitrary power. Morrow's final evolution requires a real branch collapse because only genuine pressure creates enough terminal density to lock the anchor permanently. Fine. Then they prepare everything else. The mechanism works. 11 seconds. 7 full branches. Neutral retention. Black bell converted temporarily into silver anchor. That is the weapon for Vesa, not a blade. Not a spell, a container that refuses to let her delete alternatives. Chekhov gets his payoff. Eventually, Morrow wakes 20 minutes later. The companion sits up, touches its almost complete 2nd ring, then reaches toward Eiran. Not the bell. Eiran. Its fingers close around his sleeve, the same way they did after the overload in the dormitory. He looks down. Morrow points toward him, then draws 7 lines across the dust. All separate, none ending in the hollow circle. Eiran understands. It is showing him a preference, not convergence. Separate endings. Independent futures. That is the first thing Morrow has ever communicated that resembles an opinion, not instruction. Not warning. Choice. Eiran looks at the 7 lines. Then at the companion. Agreed. Morrow releases his sleeve. That is enough. Across the city, Veyl is also preparing. No darkness. No mysterious throne. No pointless villain speech. She stands inside the old continuity courthouse station beneath a ceiling covered in operational maps. 4 black rings remain on her fingers. 3 replacement rings sit on a table. None fit properly. Old stock. Degraded. The directorate is running out of pristine suppression equipment. That is useful. Around her, surviving continuity executors remove cracked devices and replace damaged whitestone conduits. A technician reports that Subject 8's isolation routes have reduced terminal alignment across Veyl. Vesa gives one order. Move the convergence point. Not beneath the challenge hall. Not beneath the dormitories. Into the central tower. Director Solvin's tower. The oldest active spatial anchor on Academy grounds. Then she places a black seal over Solvin's name. The final move begins. Back at Veyl, Eiran receives no warning from the directorate. He does not need one. Morrow suddenly turns toward the administration tower. Every silver thread around its hands jerks in the same direction. The black bell inside the containment case rings once. Actual sound. Lysa looks up. Malin enters the room at the same moment. Solvin is missing. There it is. The last piece. Eiran opens the Academy map, marks the central tower, checks the old Foundation records, white stabilization payments, spatial reconstruction, director's office, black book storage, everything overlaps. The directorate is moving the convergence to the strongest surviving anchor Veyl still has. Smart. Very smart. Eiran closes the map. No speech. No final wisdom. No vow. He takes the black bell from the case. Morrow steps beside him. Lysa tightens the straps around her barrier gauntlets. Malin draws her sword. Eiran gives Lysa one folded sheet. 7 inward arcs. The finalized stabilization geometry. If Morrow loses neutrality, rotate the 7th barrier. Lysa nods. No questions. He gives Malin 3 broken black rings. Make Vesa spend the replacements. The examiner closes her fist around them. Understands immediately. Then Eiran takes one last object from the desk. The bronze token. He places it into the center of the black bell. The 2 pieces lock together. Silver spreads across half the metal. Morrow's 2nd ring lights in response. Not complete. Ready. Our necromancer puts on his coat. Walks to the classroom door. Opens it. And this time, instead of waiting for the future to come find him, Eiran heads straight for the central tower to decide how many futures are allowed to survive. The central tower has already changed by the time Eiran reaches it. Half of the staircase is gone. White stone replaces the missing section. Silver rain falls upward through the stairwell. And every clock in the tower shows a different time. That last detail is particularly rude. Eiran steps over a broken railing. Morrow walks beside him carrying the black bell. Lysa follows 3 steps back. Malin takes the rear. Nobody talks. There is nothing useful to say. The first black ring activates on the 7th floor. Space bends. The staircase loops. Eiran takes one more step and somehow returns to the same landing. Malin swears quietly. Lysa touches the wall. This is Solvin's spatial anchor. Modified, Eiran says. The terminal threads agree. Hundreds of silver lines pass through the tower. Everyone folds around the same central point. Director Solvin's office, or what remains of it. Eiran removes one broken black ring from Malin's pocket. Throws it into the looping staircase. The ring hits the floor. Disappears. Then falls from the ceiling. Again, good. Closed spatial branch. Not an illusion. Lysa sees the mechanism too. If we break it, the tower could fold with us inside. Yes. Malin looks at Eiran. Alternative? He points at Morrow. Keep more than one exit alive. The shadow companion raises the black bell. Its silver half brightens. 7 terminal threads stretch from the staircase. 7 possible routes. Most lead back to the same landing. One reaches the 8th floor. Morrow grips all 7. Eiran steps forward. The looping space tries to choose the closed route. The bell rings. Once. Every alternate path remains open for a fraction of a second. Enough. Lysa throws a barrier through the surviving route. The staircase unfolds. They move. No wasted motion. No victory speech. Just 1 floor gained. At the 9th floor, 2 continuity executors are waiting. Black wrist rings. White armor. No attempt at conversation. The first attacks Malin. The second targets Lysa. Eiran watches the futures. Malin's sword misses in 6 branches. Hits in 2. The executor deletes both successful ones. His wrist ring cracks slightly. There. Exactly as planned. Malin changes grip. Attacks again. 3 successful futures. 3 deletions. Another crack. The executor realizes. Too late. She is not trying to hit him. She is making him spend equipment. Lysa does the same thing. Barrier wall, barrier spike, barrier loop, nothing complicated. Each forces a possible failure. Each costs the enemy another branch. Black rings fracture one line at a time. The executor facing Lysa finally understands. He stops suppressing, dodges physically. That is when Lysa catches him. A barrier closes around one ankle. Malin slams the flat of her blade into the other man's ribs. Two bodies hit white stone. Still alive. Eiran walks past them. One groans. Why not kill us? Our necromancer stops, looks back. Your deaths are not useful. Then he keeps climbing. The answer hurts more than an insult. Probably. The 11th floor contains the first casualty. A Veyl instructor lies beside a shattered window. Alive, barely. His future soul is standing over him. Older, different uniform, different injuries. That means he is not supposed to die here. Good. Eiran crouches, targets the current terminal branch. The interface opens. Death in 4 minutes. Cause spatial compression. Fixed element central tower anchor. He looks toward Morrow. The companion already has the thread. One pull. Not enough. The branch shifts. 4 minutes becomes 6. Another displacement. 6 becomes 12. But Morrow trembles. The one-step ability is stronger now. Still not limitless. Eiran points to Lysa. Move him outside the tower's active geometry. She opens a narrow barrier chute through a collapsed wall. Malin drags the instructor through. Terminal distance jumps. 43 years. Done. One life saved. No celebration. They continue. The 12th floor is where the tower stops, pretending to be a building. The walls disappear. White pillars replace them. Silver rain falls in every direction. 7 black doors stand around a circular platform. The white undercroft has fully merged with the central anchor. At the center kneels Solvan Mar. Black rings cover both wrists. One around his throat. His eyes are open. Conscious. Furious. Unable to move. Vesa Rill stands behind him. 7 rings again. 4 original. 3 replacements. The replacements are duller. Slightly different alloy. Exactly what Eiran hoped. Old stock. Weaker. Around the platform stand 12 terminal mirrors. Each one shows a different possible death belonging to Solvan. Every death occurs in the same place. Here. Vesa looks at Eiran. You came early. You moved the anchor early. Fair. Malin takes 1 step forward. Vesa lifts a finger. Solvan's throat ring contracts. Malin stops. Good. Not cowardice. Calculation. Vesa looks toward Morrow. The black bell in its hands is now mostly silver. Only 1 black section remains. Give me the stabilizer. No. Then everyone tied to Veyl loses independent terminal variance. Also no. Vesa's expression hardens. Finally done with polite language, the tower pulses. Every mirror around Solvan changes. Not his deaths now. Students. Bram. Lysa. Malin. Hundreds of possible terminal moments flash across the glass. Then they begin disappearing. One by one. Pruned. The convergence has entered its final compression. The system floods Eiran's vision. Branch count dropping. 912, 840, 706. Fast. Too fast. 13 days were never the real deadline. The Directorate only needed the correct anchor. Solvan's tower gives it enough stability to finish now. Eiran's first prediction fails. So he recalibrates. Again, no panic. No wasted anger. Just a new board. Vesa raises one hand. Last chance. Eiran looks at the 12 mirrors. Then at Solvan. Then at the black rings. The central anchor is not Vesa. Not Solvan. Not the tower. The mirrors. Each one compresses observer intent into a selected terminal branch. 12 processors. 1 convergence. There. Target structure. Vesa expects Eiran to attack her. He points at the mirrors instead. Lysa. She understands instantly. 7 barrier lines explode across the platform. Not at Vesa. At the reflective surfaces. The Directorate leader reacts automatically. Black rings ignite. Every successful mirror break is deleted. 1 ring cracks. Then another. Malin attacks from the opposite side. Again. Not at Vesa. At the throat ring holding Solvan. More future deletion. More damage. Vesa's replacement rings fracture first, exactly as predicted. She swears. Finally, Stage 1 belongs to her. Stage 2 belongs to Eiran. He watches every branch, counts every successful suppression. 3 replacement rings. Each survives roughly 4 major deletions. 2 are already nearly dead. The original 4 can take more. Fine. He does not need all 7 gone. Only enough open futures for Morrow. Vesa realizes that too. She attacks Eiran directly. A black pulse crosses the room. No visible projectile, no dramatic spell. 1 second, Eiran has 63 viable paths around the platform. The next, he has one. Straight ahead. Directly toward Vesa. Forced future. He steps left. Nothing. Reality pushes him back onto the selected route. That is what full branch suppression feels like. Not paralysis. Certainty. He hates it immediately. Vesa approaches. You still misunderstand the directorate. Eiran keeps watching. Probably. We are not choosing who dies. Then you are inefficient. We choose which futures remain structurally survivable. She points toward the mirrors. Without convergence, terminal branching eventually destroys continuity. There it is, not madness, not simple cruelty. A doctrine, maybe even one built from a real historical disaster, does not matter yet. Eiran has one available path, so he uses it. He walks straight toward her. Vesa clearly did not expect that. Good, the forced route takes him exactly where she wants. Right until Morrow rings the bell. 7 retained futures explode open around Eiran. Neutral branch storage. The technique from the barrier classroom. 1 Eiran keeps walking. 1 stops. 1 falls. 1 turns right. 1 kneels. 1 throws the bronze token. 1 never enters the platform at all. Vesa's suppression field hesitates. Just enough. The single approved route becomes 7. The system flashes. Stable simultaneous branch retention confirmed. Terminal crisis threshold reached. Morrow screams without sound. The black bell splits. Silver floods through it. The second ring around the companion's neck closes completely. Then a third structure forms behind its head. 7 narrow silver fractures arranged in a circle. Exactly like the future manifestation. Evolution. Complete. Morrow grows. Not huge, not monstrous. Human-sized. Its limbs become fully defined. Its blank face remains smooth except for 2 pale eyes. Silver lines run from both wrists into the bell. The bell itself reshapes. Black metal peels away. What remains is a hollow silver frame holding 7 tiny internal chimes. The notification arrives. Auxiliary entity evolved. Designation resolved terminal warden. Primary function branch preservation. Secondary function anchor displacement. Maximum retained terminal branches 77. Eiran looks at Morrow. Morrow looks back. No celebration, no speech, just complete understanding. That is enough. Vesa steps backward. Actual fear. Stage 3 begins. Eiran lifts 1 hand. Open everything. Morrow rings the silver bell. The tower erupts with futures, not illusions, possibilities. Every mirror around Solvin lights at once. 1 death becomes 10. 10 becomes 50. The convergence machinery tries to delete them. Black rings crack. Vesa activates the originals. Hundreds of branches disappear. Morrow preserves 77. Again. Deleted. Preserved. Deleted. Preserved. The machine begins choking. It cannot converge while viable alternatives remain structurally anchored. The black rings were built to prune. Morrow has evolved to refuse pruning. Perfect opposition. Vesa rushes forward. She finally abandons control and attacks physically. A blade unfolds from her sleeve. Fast. Eiran has no combat training worth mentioning, so he does not fight. He summons her future soul, full manifestation, right in front of her. Vesa stops. Her terminal self stands between them, older. No rings, no directorate coat. Alive-looking until the throat wound becomes visible. Vesa's present eyes widen. Connection hits. She sees her own ending. Not one. Morrow holds alternatives open. 7 versions of Vesa appear. Executed by the directorate. Killed by convergence collapse. Dying peacefully decades later. Crushed beneath the white undercroft. Saving Solvin. Betraying her own order. Standing beside Eiran in some impossible future neither of them understands. The woman who dedicated her life to pruning uncertainty is forced to witness herself becoming uncertain. That finally breaks the rhythm. Her knife falls. Not mental collapse. Not Bram-level terror. Something worse for her. Loss of doctrine. She cannot tell which death is true, because none of them are, and all of them might be. Eiran steps past her. He has never actually fought anyone. Still true. He reaches Solvin. Morrow grabs the terminal threads attached to the director's restraints. Lysa rotates the 7th barrier. Neutrality lock. Malin strikes the throat ring. 1 future. Miss. 2nd. Blocked. 3rd. Ring cracks. 4th. It breaks. Solvin collapses forward. Alive. The central anchor destabilizes. Every terminal mirror screams. The tower begins folding. Stage 4. Consequence. Eiran turns toward the convergence core beneath the platform. A hollow circle surrounded by 7 black channels. The oldest machine. The source. He does not destroy it. That would be stupid. Nobody knows what happens if centuries of compressed terminal residue releases at once. Instead, he uses the skill prepared since Part 3, Fragment Extraction, improved in Part 6, scaled in Part 7, refined through the isolation lattice in Part 8, now completed. He targets the convergence core's fixed terminal element, not a person, not a soul. The shared answer, 7 bells. The interface resists. Mana tears through his vision. Blood runs from one nostril. Morrow grabs his arm. 77 futures remain open. Eiran extracts one thing, sound. The 7th bell. He pulls the terminal sound out of every converging death at once. The world goes silent. Not quiet, silent. The bells still move. No sound exists. Hundreds of terminal branches lose their common marker. The machine cannot reconcile them. White stone fractures. Silver rain stops in midair. Black channels go dark. Across Veyl, future souls vanish, one after another. Branch counts explode upward. Independent futures restored. Solvent's terminal record jumps decades. Malin's becomes unreadable. Bram's loses the white undercroft entirely. Lysa's branches multiply beyond the system's immediate count. And Eiran's black terminal cylinder flashes inside his mind. For the first time, a record appears. Not a death. Thousands, too many, the system cannot choose. Exactly right. Vesa is still kneeling beside the broken mirrors. She looks at Eiran. What did you do? He wipes the blood beneath his nose. Remove the shared answer. The convergence core shuts down, not destroyed. Dormant. The white undercroft begins separating from the tower. Vesa's last intact black ring falls apart. She looks toward Morrow, then at the dead convergence machinery. Her entire life's work is lying in pieces. She still reaches for the broken control seal. Malin steps between them. No execution. No dramatic final strike. Vesa simply has nowhere left to go. Her approved futures are gone. The irony is almost excessive. Solvin stands with Lysa's help. The tower groans. Everyone moves, except Eiran. For 1 second, he stays beside Morrow. The terminal warden's new body is flickering. Evolution complete does not mean invulnerable. 77 retained branches burn through its silver frame. Eiran places one hand against the companion's shoulder. Not because the system tells him to, not because it improves synchronization, because Morrow is shaking. The companion looks at him. Eiran's voice is quieter than usual. You are staying. Morrow's pale eyes brighten. That is the first time his choice is emotional before it is strategic, and he knows it. He redirects half the stored branches into the dormant core, not enough to restart convergence, just enough to reduce Morrow's load. A risk, a calculated one. The companion stabilizes. Its silver rings stop cracking. Good, now they leave. Eiran picks up the broken black bell shell. Morrow carries the silver frame. Lysa supports Solvin. Malin escorts Vesa. Behind them, the convergence chamber closes like a machine finally denied permission to continue. By the time they reach open air, dawn has started over Veyl Institute. No one cheers immediately. 600 students are too busy checking whether they still exist. Reasonable. Then one terminal projection appears beside Bram. Everyone freezes. It shows him old, very old. Sitting beneath a tree. No white stone, no bells. No black hand. Bram stares at it, then starts laughing. The projection disappears. After that, the courtyard erupts. Not because death has been defeated. Nobody is that stupid. Because their deaths belong to them again. Morrow stands beside Eiran in full view now. Human-sized, silver rings glowing. The first companion of a necromancer that has never once been dead. Vesa watches from containment restraints. Solvin looks toward the ruined tower. Lysa sits on the grass and immediately steals Eiran's untouched coffee. Malin finally lowers her sword. And Eiran? He looks toward the white undercroft entrance. The 7-bell mark has changed. The hollow center is no longer black. It is silver. The convergence is over. But the machine is not gone. And neither is the history behind Subject 8. Eiran pockets the broken control seal, turns away from the tower, and walks toward the surviving records before anyone else decides what should happen to them. 3 days after the convergence collapses, Veyl Institute finally discovers the terrifying truth about surviving a disaster. Paperwork comes next. Mountains of it. Damage reports cover the administration wing. Psychological evaluations overflow the medical office. Half the faculty wants the white undercroft permanently destroyed. The other half wants it studied until the sun burns out. Naturally, nobody asks the ancient death machine what it prefers. Eiran spends the morning inside a disciplinary hearing, not because anyone thinks he caused the convergence anymore. That theory died roughly around the moment 600 independent terminal records returned at once. The problem is everything else. Unauthorized restricted access. Possession of classified artifacts. Unapproved temporal experimentation. Breaking into the public archive after curfew. Concealing an unregistered auxiliary entity. Multiple violations involving bone chalk in locations where bone chalk is specifically prohibited. That last one seems strangely personal. Director Solvin sits behind the central desk with bandages around one wrist. Malin stands beside the window. Lysa occupies a chair she absolutely was not invited to use. Morrow stands behind Eiran. Everyone can see the terminal warden now. That development creates its own administrative nightmare. The companion has no class registration, no citizenship, no biological status, no official species, and technically no evidence that it has ever been born. Veyl bureaucracy is having a rough week. Solvin looks down at the disciplinary list, then at Eiran. You entered 7 restricted areas without permission. Yes. You removed classified material. Yes. You conducted terminal experiments inside a student dormitory. Yes. You concealed an entity directly connected to the oldest forbidden system beneath this institution. Eiran glances at Morrow. Yes. The terminal warden lifts one hand, apparently volunteering. Lysa covers her mouth. Not well enough. Solvin closes the file. You also prevented a terminal convergence affecting 612 people. Eiran waits. The director slides the disciplinary papers into a drawer, which makes this extremely annoying. Fair. He places a different document on the desk. Official class revision. Not provisional anymore. The words are stamped in black and silver. Terminal Necromancer. Singular class. Strategic classification grand restricted. No combat rank. No conventional class tier. No measurable corpse control index. Because none of those categories apply, beneath the designation sits a new institutional status. Independent terminal researcher of Veyl Institute. Eiran reads it once. Then again, you created a position. We had to. Why? Solvin looks toward Morrow. Because every existing position assumes the employee is studying something outside himself. Reasonable. Another document follows. Permanent access to the sealed historical collection. Supervised access to the dormant White Undercroft. Authority to halt any terminal experiment performed on Academy grounds. And one final clause. No person may be subjected to complete terminal manifestation without consent, unless immediate defense of life requires it. Eiran pauses there. That one matters. Solvin notices. We are turning your own operating rule into policy. Eiran looks at him. I never wrote that rule. No, you just consistently followed it. That is close enough. The director signs. Malin countersigns. Then Lysa leans forward. Do I get a title? No. She sits back. Terrible institution. Morrow nods. Solvin points at the companion. And somebody stop encouraging that thing. Nobody does. By afternoon, the announcement spreads across Veyl. The reaction is completely different from the first rumor. Students still move out of Eiran's way. That part may never recover. But now some of them bow. Others stare. Several advanced students ask if terminal theory will become an elective. One extremely ambitious first year asks Eiran whether seeing his own death would improve study motivation. Eiran walks away. There are limits. Bram Morrell finds him outside the rebuilt challenge hall. The Blade Adept looks better. Still nervous around bells. Still refuses to enter underground rooms. But better. He carries the sword from their original duel. For a moment, Eiran expects another challenge. Bram holds the weapon out. Handle first. No. Bram blinks. You do not even know what I was going to say. You were going to ask for another duel. I was going to thank you. Eiran stops. That is worse. Bram lowers the sword. The death I saw changed. Yes, I know. He looks toward the academy garden. An oak sapling stands there. Nothing special. Except Bram has now seen himself dying beneath a full-grown version of that same tree decades from today. Nobody knows whether that ending will remain. That is the point. Bram looks back. I thought seeing my death meant everything after that was already decided. Eiran says nothing. No philosophy, no lecture. Bram continues anyway. Turns out it just made me notice what I was doing before I got there. Acceptable. He offers the sword again. Not as a duel, as an object. Eiran looks at it. Why? I am transferring out of blade enforcement. Interesting. To what? Emergency response. That gets Eiran's attention. Bram shrugs. I have spent a week thinking about a future where officers die running toward a sealed door. The white corridor from his original death. The one that no longer exists in his current terminal branches. So next time there is a sealed door, somebody should know how to get people away from it. Specific, useful, no grand lesson. Eiran takes the sword, not because he needs it, because Bram clearly needs someone to accept the decision. Good. One word. Enough. Bram exhales. Then looks at Morrow. The terminal warden is standing several feet away. Bram still cannot decide whether he likes it. Morrow raises one hand. Bram cautiously raises his own. The companion gives him a thumbs up. Eiran looks at Morrow. Where did you learn that? Morrow points toward Lysa, who is currently approaching from across the courtyard. Of course. Lysa carries 3 boxes. New problem. Eiran immediately dislikes the sentence. She drops the boxes onto a bench. Inside are fragments recovered from the Directorate attack, broken black rings, white stone conduit pieces, terminal mirrors, old control seals. Evidence, not weapons anymore. The confrontation with Vesa has changed how Veyl treats Directorate technology. Previously, these objects belonged to a hidden system controlling possibilities. Now they are being cataloged publicly inside a restricted academic archive. That matters. Secrets have power partly because nobody else can inspect them. Solvin makes sure that advantage disappears, not completely. Some records remain sealed. The White Undercroft remains dangerous. But the Directorate can no longer walk into Veyl pretending nobody knows its name. Vesaril spends the same afternoon inside a containment chamber. No torture, no public execution, no convenient death. That would be easy. Instead, she loses the thing she values most: control. Every black ring is removed. Every Directorate access seal is confiscated. Every terminal suppression method she knows is recorded under independent witnesses. She can still see branches. Sometimes, she just cannot prune them. Eiran visits once, only once. Vesa sits behind a transparent barrier, no restraints on her hands, none needed. Without her rings, she looks almost ordinary. That seems to bother her. You came to ask whether the Directorate still exists. Eiran stands outside. No, that surprises her. You already know? I know enough. Then why come? He places the broken bronze token against the barrier. The hollow circle symbol still remains, but now the center is silver. What is Subject 8? Vesa looks at it. There, a reaction, not fear, recognition. You. Incorrect. Her eyes narrow. Good. Eiran continues. The file existed before I was registered. Silence. That is the unresolved piece. The designation did not begin with him. It was waiting. Vesa says nothing. Eiran did not expect her to. He retrieves the token, turns away. She finally speaks. Veyl. He stops. The old program had 7 active subjects. I know. Subject 8 was never an active subject. Eiran looks back. Vesa meets his eyes. It was a contingency. That is all she gives him. Useful. Not enough. Exactly the kind of problem worth keeping. Eiran leaves. Vesa remains inside the chamber, alive, uncertain. For her, that is punishment enough. By the end of the week, Veyl Institute reopens. The central tower remains closed. Classes move into temporary buildings. Students complain about food again. Someone paints a ridiculous silver bell on the wall outside Eiran's new research room. Malin threatens collective punishment. Nobody confesses. Normality returns in pieces. Morrow receives its own chair. Nobody knows why. It does not sit correctly. The terminal warden prefers crouching on the backrest while watching Eiran work. Lysa insists this proves personality. Eiran insists it proves poor furniture use. Neither wins. His research room is small. 2 desks, 1 reinforced cabinet, 7 terminal safe crystal containers. No corpses. That part makes the necromancy department deeply uncomfortable. On the first day, Eiran mounts Bram's old sword above the cabinet, not as decoration, as a reminder of the first terminal record that changed instead of simply being observed. Then he places Vesa's broken black rings beneath it. Opposite systems, suppression, preservation, selection, choice. Tools, not truths. Outside, students pass the open door without immediately changing direction. Progress. Lysa works at the second desk. Officially, she is a barrier assistant. Unofficially, she occupies half the room and argues with the other half. Malin comes and goes without knocking. Solvin sends classified boxes with increasingly unreasonable forms attached. Bram occasionally stops by. Morrow steals paperclips despite having no use for them. Life continues. And Eiran? He still has never won a conventional fight. His official combat record remains nearly empty. No confirmed kills. No weapon specialization. No physical reinforcement worth mentioning. Yet nobody at Veyl calls him weak anymore. Because every person in the academy now understands the problem with fighting Eiran Vale. The dangerous part is not what he does after the battle begins. The dangerous part is standing in front of him long enough for the future to answer. Several weeks later, Eiran returns to the dormant White Undercroft. Not alone. Malin waits at the entrance. Lysa monitors the barriers above. Morrow walks beside him. The old convergence chamber remains dark. No silver rain. No uncontrolled souls. No breathing bells. Good. Eiran reaches the archive containing the old terminal subjects. 1 through 7. Then the blank cylinder. 8. He places the now silver bronze token against it. Nothing happens. Morrow places one hand beside his. The glass responds. A line appears. Not a name. Not a death. A location. North Meridian Observatory. 300 miles from Veyl. Eiran takes out his notebook. writes the location down. Then another line appears. Contingency node still active. There it is. The open question from the old program finally moves. Not solved. Moved. Much better. Eiran does not rush north. He learned that lesson already. Instead, he copies the archive seal, measures the terminal residue, records the exact reaction, then closes the cylinder. Investigation first, travel later. Back in the research room that evening, Morrow places the silver bell frame on the desk. It has been quiet since the convergence. Now one internal chime moves. No sound. A new silver mark appears along the frame, not one of the 7 old symbols, an 8th. Eiran looks at it. The system produces a short notification. Terminal warden expansion detected. Branch capacity threshold exceeded. New function unavailable. Condition unknown. No convenient explanation. Good. At least the system has learned restraint. Morrow turns the bell over. The 8th mark points in the same direction as North Meridian Observatory. That connects the artifact directly to Subject 8, and that makes ignoring the observatory impossible forever. Still not tonight. Eiran places the bell inside its case, locks it, then adds North Meridian to the wall map. One concrete destination, one unresolved program, one future problem. Across the northern provinces, inside an observatory built into a cliff above a frozen lake, a woman closes an old terminal ledger. Her name is Yezra Ven. Nothing else about her is obvious yet. She wears no black rings, no directorate uniform, only one silver instrument over her left eye. The device has been tracking Veyl for several weeks. Tonight, its needle finally moves, not toward the white undercroft, toward Eiran. Yezra removes a single page from the ledger. At the top is the same contingency designation, Subject 8. She burns the lower half before anyone else in the observatory can read it. Then she opens the northern telescope shutters. Specific movement, specific place, no anonymous figure in the dark. Back at Veyl, Eiran knows none of this. He is busy correcting Lysa's terminal barrier equations. She insists his notation is ugly. He insists the equations work. Morrow sits on the back of its chair holding one stolen paperclip. Outside the research room, the repaired academy bell rings for evening curfew. One bell. Ordinary. Nobody screams. That may be Veyl Institute's greatest victory. Eiran closes the ledger on his desk. North Meridian Observatory is circled on the map beside him. The silver bell remains locked in its case. And the only living necromancer who can summon deaths that have not happened yet finally has something he never had when this started. Not certainty. Options. Tomorrow, he begins with the observatory.